you going to start it off?
No, definitely not.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Black Bull Podcast. Today, we have Manatee Commune, a.k.a. your real name. Do you want to say your real name?
Grant Eady, yeah.
Grant Eady.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I'm not anonymous. Grant Eady, you got me.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, for everyone who doesn't know, would you just describe yourself real quick?
Yeah, like my music and my person.
Music. Yeah, your music first.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Music. Yeah, I make just like, it kind of started out as like chill wave electronic music. It's kind of like more accessible. I'm not even really sure what exactly the genre is. A lot of people say just like chill wave, trip hop. I've gotten that quite a bit. But it's kind of in that like almost ambient, same genre as like Odessa and like Bonobo, that whole crowd. So, but yeah, I've been making electronic music for about 4 or 5 years now.
Your stuff's a little more upbeat.
Yeah, I'd say
feel
more
like.
upbeat.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's refreshing in a way.
I
gotta say.
appreciate that. Yeah. I've been trying to make more dance music. That's like one of my favorite parts about making electronic music is dance music. So I would describe it as dancey electronic, but I'm still trying to define the genre. So if you guys could help me out, I'm happy to hear suggestions.
It definitely sounded, original to me in a way. So that was how I described it. People were like, "What is it?" I'm like, "It's like happy dance music, but like chill happy."
Yeah,
chill
that's
happy
exactly
dance
what I'm
music.
going for. So
Hell
I'm
yeah,
happy that
that's
works
awesome.
out.
So
That's
you're
great.
really like humble and stuff, but I read your Spotify description and I was like, oh damn, you got some stuff going on. So for what he didn't say, he's toured with Odessa, Slow Magic, Emancipator, and Blockhead. You've been called the best electronic artist by Seattle Weekly. You performed at South by Southwest, Bonnaroo, What the Fest, Bumbershoot. Is there anything else?
Not that I can think of. I didn't actually tour with Odessa. That was like my first show ever was opening for them when they had first started playing. So we're from the same town. So
Where's that?
That's Bellingham, Washington.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah,
nice.
That's where I went to college. I actually grew up in Spokane, but
Spokompton.
Yeah, Spokompton. Yeah, dude. I went to school there. In Bellingham, and that's where I played my first show ever, was opening for Odessa when they were like at the end of their first like really big tour. So I didn't actually tour with them, so that's the only adjustment that I want to make on that. But other than that, no, that's pretty much it. That is spaced over like the last 3 years, so it might sound impressive, but it's really just like there's a lot of downtime in between a lot of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's it. I didn't realize how impressive that Spotify thing sounds. That's really cool. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, you're definitely doing some cool stuff. So speaking of downtime, what is downtime like for you? Like, what's your creation process when you're not performing?
I mean, a lot of it is spent. That's the one thing I don't want to bump. So that's the. Sorry.
That's not good.
So okay, downtime. I mean, a lot of it is obviously just like messing around on my computer, and like making music for me is kind of like playing video games. I mean, it's just one of those things that just has naturally happened. Like I'll be sitting like looking at Reddit or like browsing through Facebook, and then like a DAW just kind of shows up, and I just work on music when I can. And lately I've been much more like serious about like this is delegated time to like me making music, but that's the majority of it is like me just kind of listening to new music, getting inspired about stuff, making like a lot of like lists, and kind of gathering ideas about what like the next every like album or like collection of songs I make kind of has like a cohesive I would say, like a cohesive idea around each one. And so I'm kind of always making like these word and adjective lists to kind of describe like what I want to achieve. And it rarely ever comes to fruition, but it's a great way to kind of do that. But yeah, man, it's interesting. What is my downtime usually? A lot of just like sifting through music and sifting through samples and taking samples and like practicing instruments and
you play a lot of those, don't you?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of like a true master of none. One of those people that's like, ooh, that sounds like fun. Like I'm gonna give that a shot and just see what happens. And that's a lot. I would say that's the majority of my time is like mostly just like trying weird things out and like going to like a music store and being like, ooh, I kind of want to see what that does or like what that sounds like, and like just kind of messing around with concepts and stuff. So the part that I wish was more a part of my downtime was actually finishing things. A lot of I'm sure like every artist struggles with this. Maybe like every human on earth struggles with this, but like it's really fun to have like no like actual finished product. It's way more fun to have things that you're kind of always working on. Right. And so that's the majority of my downtime, I think, is just having like hours and hours and hours of like little ideas that I've kind of like pieced together, but will probably never come to fruition. So,
it's almost like it starts becoming something and it feels good, and you just want to ride that wave of it feeling good for a while, and then once it's done, you're like, well, it's done. I don't want it to be done.
That's exactly what it is.
There's that, and also, if it makes you feel any better, I bought a new computer a couple of years ago, and I have exported 800 files, and I have posted 0.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah.
Wow. Why is that?
I don't know. I get wrapped up in what I'm doing in the moment, and then I move. I think part of what I'm doing is I've been doing all this stuff alone.
Yeah.
And I don't like doing stuff alone. And then the stuff I've done with other people, just for whatever reason, it doesn't come to fruition. Either it's their fault. It's mostly their fault.
It's all their fault, man.
No, but for real, there's something about finishing a track that's fucking terrifying, and that's why I think when I used to finish tracks, it was always more likely when I gave myself a deadline. It was like, oh, this has to be done by this day. It's going to be done by this day. You're going to figure out some way to get it done by this day, and that's when they actually come out, and that's when you get that extra, that last 5 to 10% that really makes the song what it is.
Right.
Because you're like, you did what you planned on doing, but you're still not satisfied. And you're like, but it's got to be done tomorrow. And so you just stay up that extra hour or two or whatever. Just do that extra little thing that kind of makes the song unique,
Well, there's people like Jack White who give deadlines to every single project he does for that same reason. It's like you kind of have to rise to the occasion. It's got to be done by then. You just put in that extra effort. I think that's super valuable, super important.
I think especially these days with how easy and quick it is to make a song compared to in like the 80s or whatever, how ridiculously hard it was to put a whole track together. And now it's like, dude, you can do it by yourself in your room.
Yeah.
So you have no excuse.
With the same quality,
it's the same quality. Yeah, exactly.
It's wild, man. No, I've had this conversation with so many different artists because I think the whole the like I'm just working on my craft until it's finished thing is, I think that's a myth. I've never really been the kind of person, and I've never really met any other artists who are like, it'll be done when it's done. I've only met people that like, my album is like, a lot of people have like soft deadlines. Like if I don't make this deadline, then that's not like the end of the world. But I'm the same way, man. I mean, like working on remixes is actually really refreshing that way because there really is a hard deadline that I need to get something in, and it's, getting a remix in is the difference between like making money that month or not. And so it's really important. And some of my favorite things I've ever made have been remixes just because like I'm forced to like you said, put in that extra like 5-10%. And that 5-10% is like so, I don't know what it is. It's really powerful. It's a completely different part of your mind, like a part of you that you would have never accessed. Yeah. And it's there's something about panic that makes you really like, it creates like the real artist in you, which I hate to admit because I make like such like, I like to think I make relaxing music, but a lot of it is made because I'm like panicking and I like need to get it done. And but it's good. Yeah. It's funny. I've had that thought a lot. I have a deadline right now with like this record, and there's like one song that's like still kind of hanging on for the most part. And I just, every time I've kind of gotten in the studio to like really finish it, I kind of put it off to like the next day because it just isn't like, it isn't just happening. Like I'm having to like really work for it or whatever. Right. And so I'm waiting for that day when like my team, like my management or my label is like, all right, fucker, you gotta fucking do this right now or like you're gonna lose everything. And in that day, I'll probably finish it and I'll probably love it, Yeah. So
I think it also gets you out of your head having a deadline because you like you think you have to be this genius. You're like, I have to come up with the greatest idea and all the coolest ideas. But if you have a deadline, I have to act now. I have to move and I have to click stuff. Something just has to come out.
Which is honestly like that is where the genius comes from, is when all that the pressure to be brilliant is taken away from you. Yeah. And like I mean I really do think so. Like if you let go of your ego and you just kind of like, I need to let something happen, that's when like the beautiful things happen. So.
Well, it's so often that artists, and I mean it's not just musicians, all artists, they don't know when to stop. They don't know when it's done.
Yeah.
It's hard to
identify. It's really never done. It's abandoned. Who said that? There was somebody who said that.
Oh,
but
that's so deep.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I think there's a book called Art and Fear. I've like read it like 3 or 4 times. There's like 5 authors. They've all put their like minds together. But that's one of the pieces that they say is like art is never finished. It's only abandoned.
Whoa.
I think.
Is it the War of Art? We bought that one. It was
I
like,
think that is
yeah,
War
and
of
it was
Art. Yeah.
no. I bought it and I thought it was gonna be like this novel kind of thing, and it was just a book full of quotes, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, what? I was so mad.
Bunch of mantras.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because we were gonna bring it in here and we were gonna talk about these chapters because we're all about art.
And he's like, "There's 2 chapters, dude. It's one half of the book and then the other half of the book."
I was like, compiled. It's about 3 paragraphs. This is bullshit. I paid money for this. I'm pissed off.
But man, you sound brilliant if you memorize any of those.
But apparently I should read it because that's a really good quote.
I mean, maybe, but like you could say that about I don't know. There's a bunch of those. There's a bunch of those super what is it like broad sayings that you can say to anybody and they'll be like, oh yeah, you know?
like euphemisms and
yeah, exactly. Just yeah, I don't know. That's definitely one of those things. Well, art is never really finished; it's only abandoned. But I mean, that's not true because like there's definitely like a place when. Okay, well, how much are we going off on tangents on this?
How much as you want?
We love tangents.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so a big part of my life is like apart from music, I'm like a huge sci-fi head, and like I think I've seen like most sci-fi series, movies, and stuff. Besides like a lot of the things from like the 40s and 50s, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. It's like the only tattoo I have is right here. Is a big Star Trek tattoo.
Nice.
Which is so funny because I was not proud of for a long time, but like now I'm like super proud of it. I'm like I'm happy. I got it when I was like 19, and anyway, so with sci-fi and like with fantasy and stuff, there's this in Star Trek especially. Star Wars is going through this right now. Like all the massive like Marvel, everybody's like struggled with these things. Like do you stop working on working in a universe after a period of time? And I think like music and like writing and anything is the exact same way. Like, is there a point when you just wrap things up and you say like, all right, we really need to just put this away. Like we really got to be done with this. Like so many bands have just kept making music and you're like, oh my God, like please stop. Like I have nothing against Ringo Starr. I love the dude. Like he's a sweetheart, a super sweet dude. The guy has like 12 albums out on Spotify or something like that.
12?
I think. You should look it up, actually. If you have a second on your phone, you got to look it up. The album covers are amazing. And if Ringo Starr is watching this, I love you so much. Like, please don't get me wrong. I respect you and everything about you, but I think this is just too much. And anyway, but I think there is a point, like the whole like art is abandoned. I think that's actually... I know I said that quote, but I think that is actually like not true. There is a moment like when you can be like, okay, this is done. If I work on it anymore, it's going to be too much. It's just going to be like a mess and it's not going to make any sense and it's not going to be intentional anymore. It's just going to be like, it's not going to be like a full thought. It's just going to be like 1,000 different thoughts. How many albums does he have?
I see 23.
Oh my God.
Okay, hold on. But some of them are live. I'll say that. Some of them are live, but like there's definitely a lot of albums in there.
Oh my God, dude. Jeez. Ringo Starr and his all-star band. Yeah, I love it. It's amazing.
Oh my God.
But yeah, anyway. So yeah, that was a good tangent, but yeah.
You do have to abandon it though. I mean, in reality, you do have to abandon the artwork. You have to let it be what it is. You have to let it speak the message and speak for itself.
Yeah.
But I like the point you're making about not like how long can you deal with one universe, you know, for sure. Because you get, especially if you make like really, 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 really niche music, you know, it's like you're like, yeah, no, what I do is I you know, cover Aerosmith songs on a banjo. Okay. It's like you literally have a limit at some point, and they're like, well, now I'm going to do it with 2 banjos or something. You know, and it's like, like there's weird shit like that gets really old really fast.
Speaking of banjos and weird instruments, like I'm guilty of every now and then going to a music store and picking up an instrument.
Yeah.
And one of the most regretful ones, I bought a tambourine.
Why is that bad? Oh, because they're loud?
Dude,
or?
I didn't think... Okay. When someone sees a tambourine sitting somewhere... They always grab it and they always shake it. It is like the most horrifically annoying noise in the world. And that's like the one regret. But I'm not going to throw it away. I still have. I like keep it tucked away in a closet. I'm like, I don't want anyone to see this thing. Like, because I used to play guitar, hit my foot, and like that would be how I make a guitar a little more interesting.
Course.
What's your regretful?
What's my regretful
instrument, or that you've just like despise a little bit in some weird way?
Yeah,
because I like the tambourine, but I hate having it.
Have you asked this question before? Because this is a really good question.
I've never asked it.
No, this is a really, really good question. Regretful instrument. Oh my God, that's good. Tambourines are a good example. That's like we've all done some kind of like audio recording, and that for some reason is the only instrument that ends up in every single microphone and is like way too loud for everything. It's so loud. Yeah. That's a really good example. I had an old box drum for a long time that was kind of a similar thing where everybody who walked in my room would pick it up and play it and stuff. I think I don't regret it, but I do think I had like an unforeseen issue with the kalimba that I had for a really long time. Do you guys know what a kalimba is?
What's a kalimba?
So it's like a little finger piano thing. It has it has metal tines is what they're called. It sounds amazing. They're beautiful. They're used in like a lot of pop music these days. It's a lot of the like the bling 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 like those kinds of sounds. And they're beautiful. They're wonderful. But it is one of those instruments. It's always in key because it doesn't have any
tuning.
Yeah, it doesn't have any half steps. So it's like always in a diatonic key.
Yeah.
So it's like anybody can pick it up and play something. And so like 9 times out of 10, if you're smoking weed or you did mushrooms or you're on a bunch of sassafras with a bunch of your friends and like somebody finds a kalimba, they're gonna end up playing it for like 3 hours.
Oh God.
And like it's peaceful for the first hour and I love it. But then like the 2-hour mark starts to come around and like somebody puts on some like funk music or like something and the one guy's in the corner and he's like still playing and it's like not in the same key as like the rest of the music and stuff, and people try to talk to him and they're like, hey man, like maybe you should put that down and like eat something or like maybe you should drink some water or like maybe you should sit down or something like that. And he'll be like, have you listened to this? Like listen to this, and he'll like put it up to your ear and like that is one that I regretted having in my room for so long for that very reason, because one person would end up being like the open mic performer for the entire evening, and like that was tough.
Oh boy,
he just croaks on the spot. He's like, he died doing what he loved. He loved that thing so much.
Yeah, totally.
He never gave it up.
Oh my God, I think I had a friend fall asleep with it in their hands at one point.
Oh my God,
absolutely. No, I mean it's a great instrument. I use it all the time. This really sweet guy actually made a couple of them for me, and it has like a pickup so you can plug it into like an amplifier. And it's a beautiful instrument, but it's definitely like to people who are really high or very impressionable to music and want to make something beautiful, it's a toxic instrument to have around. Very toxic.
Damn, the kalimba is to hallucinogens as the tambourine is to drunks. You just don't want to have them near any of the sames.
It's actually like oh man, yeah, that's good. That's a perfect metaphor for being drunk versus being really high on hallucinogens. Yeah. That's a really good question though. I'm curious if like other musicians, I kind of want to hear what their thoughts are on that stuff. We'll really
keep that
good.
one going for sure.
That's a really good one. I like that a lot. Sorry, I'm bumping everything here. Wasted.
What did you start on music? Like what instrument did you start on?
So I started playing violin when I was
really? That was your first one?
Yeah, 4th grade. That was actually what inspired me to like really start making music. So I started in violin, and then I wanted to be different in like 6th or 7th grade. So I started playing the viola, and the viola like really took off for me. That was when I really fell in love with it. And I was like that in Spokane. That was my, I mean, it was my passion. Like it was the thing that like I felt like was going to be like for the rest of my life. I was always going to be like a orchestral performer of some capacity, playing in like a lot of quartets and stuff like that. And then, then I went to state for solo performance and like took first in state in Washington, which was really fun with the viola thing. And then that's what I went to college for a little while. And then production is what I really fell in love with when I was at school.
So you wanted to be a musician at a young age?
Man, no. I had like really practical parents who've been super supportive through this whole thing, but they really instilled in me like the idea that being like any kind of like artistic performer or whatever was like not going to be a lucrative or like satisfying path in life.
It's so weird that they think they know that,
Dude, that's
Yeah.
like, but
Why?
that's like
It makes sense.
98% of parents.
It is,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
it's
such a risk.
frustrating.
It's such a
Everything's a risk. Well, now for millennials, everything's a risk. I feel like pretty much, you know, right? I mean, right? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No,
I don't know.
you're absolutely right. I mean, it's always been a risk. I don't think there was any point. I think now it's less of a risk than it's ever been to be some kind of artist because
Right. Well,
like,
to be an artist, I just meant when I said everything's a risk. I feel like, you know,
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
true. No, and I think like, I mean, it's so funny. I've had this conversation with so many people. And again, like I want to reiterate, like my parents are awesome. Like they've been super supportive, like way too supportive, honestly. Like I'm an only child, and like they're very much like, you're doing your thing. Like being 25 and broke is tight, and like, which is, I'm happy with. Like, I'm super excited about that.
That's
But
good.
Parents.
yeah, totally. So I'm not talking shit at all right now. Like they're awesome, but they definitely they instilled in me this concept of like being like when I was a kid, I was like, I wanted to be like an architect. Like that's
what you wanted to be?
That's what I wanted to be. It was like a math heavy, like I'm gonna make money, but like have like a bit of like a hands-on like artistic idea. And then music was the only thing I could see myself continue doing like day by day. You know,
Right.
it's, like every day I woke up and I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do anything that has to do with math. I want to go down to the basement and play with like the 1,000 guitar pedals that I bought over the last 4 years
Yeah.
and like make something. So yeah, I mean, that's it. I think, I don't know if you guys have a similar experience with like your professions, but music was something I just kept doing. And then like suddenly it was something that was important to me, and it was something that did actually have a future. And then it was something that other people wanted to be a part of. And then that's when I realized like, okay, maybe I do want to do this forever.
That's
Yeah.
the best way to figure out what it is that you want to do is just what are you already doing all the freaking time?
Yeah,
And like,
exactly.
are you talented at that at all? Well, then yeah, you should probably go into that.
I mean, I think that's where the luck is. And that's the part that I struggle with a lot, like in terms of philosophy and stuff, is that I didn't choose. You know, I hear a lot
Yeah.
of, I get a lot of questions that are like, was there a moment? And it's like, not really. Like, I guess every day is my moment. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you gotta. It sounded like you just accepted the facts of reality. Like you saw
Yeah.
what you were doing every day, and you saw that, yeah, like technically it is a viable option for a career. So why not
Yeah.
pursue it? Why you got to throw? I think you got to throw yourself into what you do. You got to, as Steve Harvey says, jump. You got to jump.
Yeah.
You know, have you guys seen that speech?
What?
The you got to jump speech.
You just quoted Steve Harvey.
Dude, it's a brilliant. It's
Is
a
it?
brilliant speech.
Steve Harvey.
Yeah, it's a pretty famous now, I think, YouTube video. It was on Family Feud. It was after the show was over, and he just said it to the audience. He's like, "Hey, I want to talk to you guys for a sec."
No way.
Yeah. He's like, look, whatever you do in life, it's fucking incredible. You guys have to watch this.
Yeah.
It's so fucking inspiring. It's mind blowing.
What?
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, seriously.
I don't doubt it. Steve Harvey, yeah, no, it makes sense.
He goes
He's
up-
got the voice for it.
Yeah, he goes up and he's just like, look, whatever it is that you do, you have to jump. And he's like, and your parachute won't open right away. Like, it's not going to open right away.
Oh, that's
You
good
just got to
analogy.
trust it.
That's
Yeah, it
good.
is. Isn't
Oh,
that good?
man. It is
And then,
good.
yeah, and then he,
No, that's what makes it the parachute thing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
expect that you're gonna be free falling for a second.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
it'll work.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
I
he,
like that.
He had all these
No, that's
friends
good.
who did that though. He's like, dude, he names these people. He's like, I had this friend, you know, and he just liked to cut grass, and he just kept cutting grass. And we were trying to go out and hang out with him and do all the shit with him. And he's like, no, man, I gotta cut grass. And we were like, what the hell are you doing? And then now he makes $800,000 a year with his grass cutting company. You know, it's like
That man's name, Einstein. sorry.
I love those memes.
No, he's not wrong. Totally.
Yeah, no,
Nah, I agree with that.
I love
Yeah.
it. I now podcast full time. Actually, is my profession, and it's because it honestly started because I was like, all I was doing was talking and listening to people talk, and then I was like, I should probably just do this.
Yeah.
I'm spending way too many hours a day. I'm spending way more hours a day than I am like doing creative stuff or doing school or you know
Yeah.
that's all I was doing. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just keep talking to people and see what happens.
Yeah.
And there you go.
We did like a first few, and then it kind of you just got like two more.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Yeah,
And then
the first couple were
yeah,
funny.
and
We just tried to see if we could talk for an hour without like stopping, and we're like, okay, we could do this.
yeah.
That was the indicator. Is like if we should actually podcast or not. Is if we could talk for an hour without any weird breaks.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That's actually an interesting thought. I'm not sure if I've ever even put that to the test. That is cool. When you have that hanging over your head. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and active listening, as they call it. That's another huge, just can you fill the dead space, but also actually hear what other people are saying at the same time? And can you absorb what they're saying while thinking of what am I going to say next, but not miss a beat?
Totally.
And yeah, it's it's a dance. But
so what? Okay, let's bring this back into your shit. What's dead space like? Coming up as a musician who, I mean, because you have like a manager now. I mean, we've been talking to your manager, which I thought was funny. I was like, we're talking to his manager.
Totally.
Because we usually just talk to the artist,
Yeah, of course.
So how did that come to be? What was that process like?
Yeah. This is actually a little bit of a story. You guys want to hear?
Let's hear it.
Yes, we do.
We can go into it.
Yeah.
I'm 25, and about 4 years ago, I was in college and I was studying orchestral music, and like I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do with it, and it wasn't something that I could see myself doing in the long term, but same sort of thing we were talking about. Like I was occupying all of my time just on like Logic and Ableton. I was just using those programs like constantly. Every time I got home, it was like the only thing I thought of. I was obsessed with like electronic music. I was listening to like a ton of like all the Bonobo albums, the books, Baths, and like Tycho was like Dive had just come out around that time, and like I was obsessing about like 80s synths and that style of music. And again, it was like one of those things where I was like, this is something that I love, but it's not. I can't ever see this being something that I could turn into a real job. And then I was also playing in this band, and I worked really hard for like half a year to record that band and like make a little EP. And in that same amount of time, I also taught myself enough like production work to be able to make my own music. And so I made like a little EP. And then I passed that EP to like the local radio station. It like took off, and like a bunch of people were passing it around. And then I got my first show in Bellingham. It's like just like a little house show. From that house show, I played like another tiny little show in Bellingham as well. And this guy approached me, who was my first manager, and he had never really managed anybody before. He'd only managed like briefly one other artist. So he was like, hey man, I think like you got something really cool, but you need guidance. Like, what do you think if I handle your booking and like all of like your just like I'll like mentor you on how to be like a good artist and like an organized artist, basically.
How old were you?
I was 20. I was about to turn 21.
No way.
Yeah, I was very young, just starting it out. So in that time, super kind dude. He like fronted me some money to be able to master my first full length record, which is
wow.
Yeah, that was Brush, which came out in 2014. And like the first song on that record is like still like it's still like one of my highest played Spotify things.
Which one was it?
It's called White Smoke.
Yeah.
It's got like 2.5 million plays, but like at the time, it was just I had nothing. Like I had no followers on SoundCloud. I had nothing, and so yeah, and he got me like my first blog playlist. Like he got me my first shows in Seattle, which was like a big city to me. Like. So I've had a manager from the very beginning, like I've always had this person who's like looking out for me, like guiding me through this whole thing. And we actually grew a lot together, because like he grew to be like, his company started to kind of grow with it, and he took on other artists, and like through my successes, he started to see his reputation grow as well. So we kind of like, we grew up together in that sense. And then these guys, my managers that you're talking now, was there a question that started this whole thing?
What is basically like the what's like coming up as an artist?
Yeah.
To the point that you get managers, and then the dead space and how that incorporates into. Yeah.
You can just keep going with this story. It's a great freaking story.
Okay,
I want to
cool.
hear the rest of it. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. So I think like I just kind of started to realize that. Okay. So a little more detail. In 2017, I went on tour. It was like I'd released my first like big album that actually started doing really well in 2016, and in the fall of 2016, And in 2017, Bishop Briggs, this like massive artist in my eyes, reached out personally to me saying like, do you want to come on tour with me on this like super long tour for like 45 dates in spring? And you'll tour the country and like get to play to completely sold out audiences for 3 months straight. And I was like, heck yeah, that sounds awesome. And I had played like a handful of festivals, you know, like the farthest I'd gone was like maybe Bonnaroo, and like a handful of shows in California. Like I had toured with Emancipator, but like it was a short thing. It was only a couple weeks. This was a huge deal. And in that time, I learned that like I was kind of moving on to the next level as an artist, that I was becoming like a national act in some capacity. That was when I realized like, okay, I need to kind of move on from this person who has been my mentor this whole time. Because I think I'm just kind of like out of his league at this point. Like there's not a lot of knowledge that he has based on this level. He's a very like local act kind of person. And it was awesome to be able to grow up with him. But that's when I moved to having like my managers that I have now. And in that time period, so that was just last year. That was in like December. I transferred from my old manager to like the two new guys who they're part of like an actual like company, like a managing company, which is called Little Empire. And they have like Galantis and like Santa Gold and like Patlock and like all these just like artists that I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. I'm gonna be a part of this whole thing. And they're awesome. I mean, they're amazing. It's a totally different. I mean, it's weird to be with. I mean, it was so to answer like the coming up thing, like the way that my artist experience has been in the past has been very like off the cuff, just like, yo man, you working on music today? Like, yeah, like for a couple hours, you know? And but now it's like, now I have like a Google Calendar with like all the things that I need to do and like all of my like plane ticket stuff, like all the information. I have like like every piece of information is guided through these two people that like basically manage my life is what it feels like. And it is amazing, but at the same time it's like I feel like I've relinquished like a lot of my autonomy that I had before, but it's really relaxing. Like I can't tell you like how amazing it is to just be able to kind of like let go and just be like, okay, I know these guys will handle like my the basic information that I've always needed to send to people, and now they've really got this figured out, and I can just focus on like being a musician or being an artist and those kinds of things. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious, like I don't know how artists do it without managers, honestly. Like I can't imagine a life without it. Because before, when I had to deal with money and I had to deal with like, I mean, I still have to deal with money, but like having to like talk to like a promoter who's like, would you do it for $300? And I'd be like, I mean, like my music means a lot to me, but I don't do it for, I mean, I do it for money, but I don't like when I'm making it, I'm not thinking about like, yeah, this song's going to earn me $1,500. Like, you know, it's like, that's not how I think about it. But like these guys, like they're paid to think about it. Like they really get that. And I love that about them. It's like, there's just, and I think that's why, I mean, having these guys on the team, I mean, I've made the best music I've ever made in my life in the last like 9 months.
Because you could focus on it.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I was gonna say.
I think that's huge. I mean, like being someone who sells, you know, photography and film work, the most stressful part is thinking, okay, how are we going to get the next client?
Oh my God.
And you got to go out there and put yourself out there, plant seeds, and like follow up, all that bullshit. And it's definitely the most stressful part. Once you're there behind the camera doing what you truly are best at, that's for me. For you, it's sitting in front of the computer, like amongst instruments. That's where you feel most comfortable. That's where you excel the most. That's the best part of it.
Yeah.
So I got to get a manager.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. You're making me feel the same way. I was literally thinking while you're talking about this, like, I gotta figure out a way to get a manager. I gotta figure it out. 'Cause it's just like, I hate playing like 12 roles. You know,
Yeah,
I hate like
absolutely.
scheduling every single thing and
'Cause you
negotiating
half-ass
every
most
single
of
thing.
them.
Exactly, that's what you end up doing. And then I ended up pushing it on everyone else. I'm like, Alex, you talk to him. Nick, you do it. Like everybody. I'm just like, because I get tired. You want to be able to focus on one thing so you can really kind of master it.
Totally.
You know?
Well, the truest you is the person who's making the art. Like, this is something I've had a conversation with so many other people who are like crafters. Like, we are all inherently people that spend time alone. Like, we're being charismatic right now for sure, but like the person that sits alone for hours, like working on a computer, is the person that's most comfortable being by themselves. And we've had to like coax this like social part of ourselves. Like you said, like we have to practice being this person so that we can adapt to all these roles.
Yeah.
And like now that I've let go of those, like I can be my truest self, which is really like, it's really weird. Honestly, I haven't really gotten used to it yet. Like I find like a lot of like, I really want to like, sometimes I want to be like, can I just talk to them? Like, but I also know that like that's not my role.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, man. I would highly recommend it. Yeah, if you guys can find some managers. I mean, I'll talk to mine, see what they're up to. Yeah.
So like I went to design school, I went to art school.
Yeah.
And that was another moment where I recognized like 80% of these people are not going to make it.
Whoa.
Well, not because of their talent with art, but because their ability to like communicate with others and their ability to like handle criticism.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm like, they might be good, but either they break down too easily, or they just literally can't hold a good conversation, or it's just not going to work. And that's a weird feeling when you see it happen.
Totally.
You're like, they better figure it out.
Yeah.
Or it's not going to work. Their dream is not going to happen.
Man, I've had this conversation with so many people. Because there's no way to tell somebody that.
Right?
There's no way to say
true.
like, I think, and I've by no means like made it by any capacity. Like it's cool that this is my full-time job, but I mean, I struggle with it every day. Like it's a pain. It hurts, but I think that's just how jobs are. Like everything, if you want something, it should hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Totally.
Cool. I'm happy I'm not alone on that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that is like probably one of the biggest things I've had to get over, and one of the hardest things I've ever had to describe to people when they ask like, what are the steps that I need to take? And I think like one of them is like, get out of your head, let go of your ego, and like take the honest criticisms and like take it to heart and like write some things down and like really try to make, but I mean, it's all a balance. Like it all goes like, I don't ever want to be the kind of person who compromises and is like, okay, cool. I need to completely change my sound because like my mom thinks that my snares aren't snappy enough or something.
But your mom's not your audience. That's what I always tell people.
That's
Like because if you get haters, and like I have haters on some of the stuff I make, it's not for them. I have had some crazy comments.
Have you really?
No, not like for the taco videos. It's just, dude, I'll show you them.
I believe
we
that.
We had one last week that was like so off the charts ridiculous. We're like, oh my god, that one person hates us.
Wow.
But
yeah,
it's okay. I'm like kind of anonymous in that. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
But like, yeah, but it's not for them. They're not the ones that are supposed to like this. So you need to, once you accept that like some people are just not going to like your stuff, it's a lot easier to get past that stuff.
That is so true. To be honest, I haven't gotten past it 100% yet.
It's like, but some people just don't like electronic music the same way that a lot of people don't like country music. You know, no matter what it is, they're not going to like it, and that's okay because they're not supposed to like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm okay with that too, for sure. There is always like a hurt when I first show something to somebody, but I think it's good though, and I'm okay to feel that pain because I love loving my stuff. You know, I would rather be the kind of person who's like, this means a lot to me, and I'm, you know, and I love it for what it is, than being the kind of person that's like, you're right, I should change everything, but. I also have taken a lot of like criticisms from people. Like I've taken a lot and I've added that to my like, I've changed so much and like I've taken like I've been taught by people and I appreciate that about growing up. I don't know, man. It's so funny. This is such an interesting conversation because it is a balance. It's like all a balance.
For sure.
It's all like,
But it's acceptance too.
yeah, acceptance for
I
sure.
don't know. Like once you are an artist, it's easy for you to accept other artists and for you to like encourage other artists. I think all the people that really do criticize others, they've never put themselves out there the way that we have.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like they don't know what
yeah.
it's like. They don't know.
I would love to meet some of the YouTube commenters that have like. and
No,
just-
you don't.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You don't want to waste your time with that shit.
Bunch of like 11-year-olds, like a
Right,
Yeah, they're all
yeah.
That's a disproportionate amount of them. I feel like are just so young that it's almost
Yeah.
like wait.
Some 11-year-old
You
trying to
don't
look like
remember that.
Tekashi. Like they got like rainbow hair and like a grill. It's like, oh god, you're the hater. That's you. They got neck tats and shit. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. No, I mean, God, yeah. Then I could make fun of them, but you know, I have a hard time with that one now. But I honestly, I just love doing what I do, and I'm going to keep doing it forever. So, but I do want to make people happy. So I will always take people's criticisms into consideration. Yeah, but I think ultimately, like, hanging on to what makes me is more important. Now that we're talking about this, I realize like I'm so happy that I've created a sound for myself that's like pretty unique, and I've like been able to take like other people's criticism and be like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do my own thing. And a lot of that has to do with like how I use like my DAW and like how I use like how I make electronic music in the first place. Which is like the most backwards way to probably make electronic music ever.
Do you want to go into that at all?
Yeah, totally. Well, when you make music, what do you typically use?
Ableton.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
pretty much exclusively these days. I started off actually with Cubase.
Nice.
Because I was actually doing like more death metal. I did death metal
Right.
electronica fusion actually with Nick.
No way.
Yeah,
We all used to
yeah.
play death metal.
Yeah, we were all. Yeah, actually, that was
all-
one of the things we really bonded over
Yeah.
in high school and as teenagers, and we've known each other for a very long time, and that was one of the big reasons why we were friends, was because
Wow.
We all love
loved.
death
And
metal,
when
yeah.
we were saying death metal, we're talking the darkest of the dark, the heaviest of the
Wow.
heavy, the shit that no one was listening to. You
Pure
know what I
black
mean?
metal, yeah, Pig
beyond
Spills.
I haven't
black
even
metal, like
begun to get
grindcore.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
well, it kind of exploded for a little while, then it died down. It does not have the popularity. I don't feel like that it did in
do you
the late
feel
2000s.
nostalgic for it these days? Like, do you still
Sometimes.
put it
I
on
still listen
sometimes?
to it. I still
Oh
listen
yeah,
to it.
especially lately.
Yeah.
For some reason, I feel like it's coming back around. Or, I don't know.
think
There's
it
something
is.
in the air. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
went to this isn't death metal. I went to an Underoath show, which was just like, they're not even that good, but it was nostalgic, and I went,
Okay.
and it was like sold out Crystal Ballroom.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Wow.
it
I
was
don't know who
crazy.
that is.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly.
Yeah.
They were like an early 2000s, like post-hardcore band.
Whoa.
Yeah, not even that big of a deal. They Dance Gavin Dance opened for him, and it was funny.
What was
We're-
the demographic? Was it like your age, our age?
It was all our age. Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's crazy. Huh, that's interesting.
Anyways, yeah.
we're getting
Yeah.
way off topic,
Yeah.
but yeah.
No,
yeah.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, so I was doing death metal fusion, and all I had was a free 16-track version of Cubase, and that affected me for the rest of my time making music, because I only had 16 tracks, and yet I wanted to have 16 genres per song, and so I had to figure out how to mix
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
so that
Yeah.
I was doing multiple things on the same track. You know what I mean? So that was really tricky. I had a guitar pedal which helped me. I could do like 8 things in the guitar pedal to
Yeah.
get it ready. You know, but then I moved to Reason, and then I actually started incorporating Reason. So I'd like use Reason and then bounce something off of Reason, like an entire drum track.
Yeah.
And then put that in Cubase. And then I went to Ableton, which was like, just changed everything. So I was
yeah.
infinite tracks. Oh, I can do whatever I want. Oh, I have to buy like $30,000 of plugins if I want to do anything, any of the stuff I was imagining doing,
Yeah.
and all this stuff, or pirate, whatever. I pirated a lot of stuff, but now I don't.
Yeah.
I deleted all of that, and everything I have now is paid for. But yeah, so I definitely just
It's all paid for.
Yeah.
All of it.
All very legit purchased items. Yeah.
I feel like I do it in a very typical way, which is unfortunate. I should probably do more weird stuff so I can get something dope. You know what I've noticed that makes a big difference is if I play something by hand, it always sounds better,
Yeah.
no matter what. And I'm
was
not
gonna
even
say the
like,
same
and I'm
thing.
doing all these things that I'm not even that good at sometimes. Like I've been playing instruments for a very long time, but for whatever
Yeah.
reason, as long as the sound quality is good, as long as I got good connections, and good direct in or whatever, it just sounds so much better. There's some weird human aspect of it, even if it's just the velocity, the fact that you can hear the velocity of the
Absolutely.
keys or the drum pad or whatever.
Yeah. It's
sure.
interesting. I think that's like one of the most noticeable and like indescribable parts of our world is like the difference between like what a human sounds like and what like a computer sounds like, because it's so easy to do. Anybody can like lay down just a 4-chord progression on piano in Ableton in like 30 seconds. Like it's super easy to do, and it sounds like garbage. It just sounds like a crappy MIDI piano, like right off the bat. And it's funny because that's like one of the big things for me is that whenever I make any kind of MIDI notes, I immediately try to learn it and figure out how to play it, and then like play it down. And sometimes like 99.9% of the time it sounds better when I play it.
It's those imperfections, your timing's not exactly perfect. And what's funny is that so many electronic musicians like Deadmau5 and other people will purposely offset the notes to make them sound like a human's playing them.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And
Really? That's like one of their secrets?
Yeah, well,
Really?
Totally. I would say I'm about the same. There's a function in Logic. It's called Humanize. There's also a similar MIDI plugin that's through Max for Live, which is a part
Plugin
of
Create.
Ableton. Yeah. And it's like an algorithm that's like Logic's is probably worse, but the one that I have for Ableton is really good. It's like an algorithm that's like a perfect like human replication of like what it would sound like if like a human had imperfections. So if something is like too hard for me to learn, or if I'm just lazy, which is most of the time when I do it, then like I'll put that on there, and it makes a huge difference. Which I regret telling everybody about that now, but
we get it.
No, totally. I mean, yeah, Deadmau5. That's a perfect example. I mean, I always think of like, do you guys know the producer Pomo?
No.
Sounds really familiar.
Pomo.
Do you know? So Anderson .Paak released a record called Malibu. 2016.
I have that on vinyl.
Oh, nice, dude!
Yeah.
Great record.
Great
Probably
record.
like top 5 for me.
Yeah.
There's a song on there. I can't remember the title. I think it's the 6th track. Am I wrong to assume if she can't dance, that she can't move? Yeah, that song.
Okay, that's it.
So
song.
that's Pomo. Pomo produced that whole
Really?
song. Yeah, and all of his stuff sounds like that. It's like this super funky, like just like super syncopated, like very like stumbling into the next beat kind of stuff, like kind of that 80s vibe. And I think he plays a lot of it live, but I've seen like a few of his like production stuff, and like a lot of it's that same thing, just like slowly dragging MIDI notes, so it's like just barely at the edge of like the next beat. So it's like, it's so funny how like crafting human sound is a part of like working in a computer. And but I mean, I'm a huge part of that too. I love that so much, is that you're like, that doesn't sound human enough. I'm going to slide it so it sounds more human. Like,
I feel like if it sounds too perfect, it sounds like Zelda.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah, it sounds like chiptune stuff. Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's a place for that, though.
Absolutely.
But it's like, when you combine that with the humanizing, with human playing, and that's I think what makes the coolest music. At least to me. I'm a fucking nerd, though.
No, dude. I'm in the same boat. I mean, like Subtract. Like when he first released that record with Wildfire on it, that had like Little Dragon and stuff. Like that's a perfect example. Or like all of the LCD Sound System stuff. Like all those like really syncopated, like right on the beat synth notes. Like those are all like arpeggiation. It's all just, it's very inhuman, but it's in combination with like James Murphy like screaming like, you can dance yourself clean, like in the background, and it works. And I totally agree with that. There's something about mixing Game Boys with like real music that just like really works. And that's what I'm all about. And I think that's actually where it comes from. It's funny that you bring up the Zelda thing, because I was just listening to this guy who like turned an old like organ keyboard into some like 8-bit something, and it was really cool to hear that. And I realized how much I was inspired by the first time that I played the Pokemon Red, like all the way through, and how much I loved that music when I was growing up. And like that like it was so crazy that I don't know if you guys were into, if you had Game Boys at all, like how much.
Oh, we played Pokemon.
Oh yeah. Sweet. So like I remember getting to like some of the ghost levels and like being in those spaces, and like I remember the music being immersive and being so intense that I was like terrified and like sitting in the backseat of my car, like trying to grasp the like street lights that went past so I could see my Game Boy, and like hearing like the scary ghost music and being like, this is too freaky. I can't handle this. And I listen to it now and it's like crappy 8-bit music, and I can't believe that I got so immersed in it. But I know that I'm still inspired by that stuff, like every day, that like computerish sounding stuff.
Do you think that those Game Boy noises were strategically paced to like get you hooked and get you to keep going?
I think so, but I don't know how.
Those Japanese composers are dope.
They're amazing, man.
Yeah.
I just can't believe they're. It's amazing. It's crazy that they just made this thing. Yeah, they're amazing. I don't know how they did it. It's wild.
We always ask people about their health habits on here.
Oh,
and we've
yeah,
talked
let's go.
about your downtime, but yeah, what do you do to stay healthy, man? Just physically, mentally, creatively, all that stuff.
Especially like when you're like in a block when things are tough.
And I always feel like, and just from being in the scene a little bit, like I had a really hard time being in the scene just because of the level of partying.
Yeah.
I did not, like, I'm just not a partier. Really,
Yeah.
I'm just not like that, and so that was a huge freaking struggle for me. And I've noticed that, obviously, Avicii just passed not that long ago, which was fucked me up when that happened, dude. It fucked me up.
That was sad.
That was sad. That hurt. But like, yeah, what do you do? How do you handle that?
I do think we live in a world now where most musicians and artists are extremely accepting of the like, sorry man, like I'm going home, like I'm taking care of myself, because all of us want to do this for as long as we possibly can. I think the classic like burning yourself to the ground concept is starting to die more and more. At least this is my experience with it for the most part, because I'm the same way, man. Like I've never, like, my favorite type of partying is the like chain smoking outside until 4 a.m. with like a handful of people. Like that's my kind of partying. Like I've never been like the kind of person to like do a bunch of cocaine and like stay up until like 10 a.m. the next day or whatever. But when I've been out on tour, everybody's just trying to take care of themselves and like go to sleep early and like get away from that. So, but that also is like because I've like really chosen the people that I want to spend my time with, and picked the people that I think are also as healthy and like I would say like respect themselves and their bodies as much as I do.
Yeah.
I want to do this for as long as I possibly can, and like I think the only way to do that is to stay away from those drugs that literally take like years off of your life, or like just take like neurotransmitters away from your brain that you could be using to like make amazing things.
That's such a great point.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it doesn't make
point.
sense like why you would access that stuff so you can go and like just chat for an extra 3 hours. I need those things. I need those to like make the stuff that I love. And so, and to like, keep my livelihood going. But in terms of just being healthy and like nutrition and stuff like that, honestly, the most important thing is just like making my own food. Like I've never been the kind of person who's been like, I just always want to be the one who knows exactly like what I'm buying and like where I'm getting my stuff. And, like,
are you checking those sugar levels?
Yeah, I know, Mr. Fruit Boy over there. Oh my God. No, it is true about the fruit thing. They do have a lot of sugar. It is true. I'm trying to think of like.
There's way more than you think. There's a lot more sugar in that shit than you think.
Alex, save it for another episode.
There was one time when I was there was one time where I sat down to dinner with my family, and there was a big watermelon, and I quickly Googled like how much sugar is in the watermelon. I was like, yeah, there's like 300 grams like in this watermelon. I might be wrong by the number. And then no one ate the watermelon, and I felt really bad.
Holy shit, dude!
I felt bad. Yeah, no one ate it. I was like, oh God, I just ruined the watermelon.
Oh my God, dude, watermelon's delicious. What are you doing?
No one's gonna eat. You're not gonna eat the whole watermelon to yourself. It's a giant freaking thing. Yeah.
Still.
Okay, what else did these people eat though? I mean, like a watermelon has got to be like one of the least worst or least sugary items.
Yeah, I mean, like pumpkin pie and ice cream and shit.
Yeah,
And
totally.
it's
Like, that watermelon's fucked up. Yeah, totally, dude. I mean, how much sugar does ketchup have in it? Ketchup has like a shitload of sugar in it, like tons of stuff like that. Okay, I think here's my opinion about this. I've had enough whiskey that I'm going to call you out on this shit.
Call me out. Let's bring it on. Let's get into it.
I think sugar. I think the That sounds funny saying it out loud. Sorry. So I think like of all the foods you can eat with sugar in them, fruit is not the worst.
But
like,
your body doesn't know the difference between the sugars.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
Except it's got
so,
fiber though.
it's
Whatever.
better.
Yeah.
Right.
So like if you're gonna like if somebody's like, you know what, I'm gonna treat myself and I'm gonna have some, nobody would ever say this, like I'm gonna have an apple to treat myself. Like nobody's gonna be like that or whatever. I mean, how much sugar should you have in a day? That's my question.
That is a good question. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really. I'm not sure.
Not
It
a
depends on
nutritionist.
it depends on the person. If you're an athlete,
right,
it can be
right.
more. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Absolutely.
fair, that's
of
fair.
course, yeah.
The general accepted, like nothing more than 50 grams.
50 grams outside of your normal
Yeah,
diet,
and
says Nick.
and like a Coke is like 25 grams or something.
Yeah,
so-
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, okay, so I would say growing up, like I was, my parents were always like up on the like making your own foods, like always having interesting recipes to try and stuff like that.
good.
So like,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And so for me, I've always been the kind of person who's like, I don't know what that vegetable is. Like, I want to try it or whatever. And so I guess I've never really had to worry about nutrition because I've always been like, I hate anything that tastes like, I feel like I can taste high fructose corn syrup in something, which
yeah.
is so Portland of me to say, but like, I don't know. It is very true. And so I think that makes a big difference. And then I'd say the other one is just doing things that make my soul happy, like knowing the difference between like instant gratification and something that is like earned over a period of time. I mean, a general amount of working out, like I play a lot of Ultimate and like soccer and stuff.
nice.
Like those are my
Working out
two.
is huge.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
I know
the amount
RX,
of things it does.
RX
Yeah.
has like a dog that he walks, and that's like the happiest thing he does.
Yeah.
Aside from art.
Totally.
which
Yeah,
he
I mean,
loves,
my dad is the same way. There's this period of time in the day. It's every single day for like 2 hours. I mean, it's so funny because I read all these books and like listen to all these audio tapes about meditation and like the beauty of mindfulness and all those like Thich Nhat Hanh and Alan Watts and all those guys and stuff. And I've talked to my dad about that stuff, and he's like, oh, that sounds like bullshit to me. But he does it himself, and I know he does because he doesn't know it.
Yeah.
But it is like an essential part of being a human is like taking that time to just not think about anything and just walk, just run, just like be completely silent in your mind and just do your thing.
Do you know anything about transcendental meditation?
A little bit. Are you up on transcendental?
I bought a book on it, and I still don't really know.
Yeah.
It's
Wait,
like-
do you have an opinion
Dude,
about
that's
it? Or
funny.
can we talk about it?
I want to talk about it because like
Okay.
I literally don't think I know it well enough. Like I don't think
Okay.
I'm doing it. But if you know things,
I'm supposed to have an orgasm by this point. Why isn't this working?
You're mixing books there.
no, but like every time you try to find a resource on it, they're like, you have to pay money, and I'm like, I don't want to pay
That's
money.
why you should never trust it.
And
That's
that's
exactly
bullshit.
why you shouldn't
It's
do
bullshit.
it. It is bullshit. So transcendentalism is I'm sorry. This is my opinion about it. If we can get into it really quick.
can.
Transcendentalism is it's a scam. I think
David Lynch is like the founder of he has a foundation about it.
It's not his form of transcendentalism. I don't actually know a lot about the David Lynch, or is it David Lynch?
David
Yeah,
Lynch,
yeah, yeah,
the
David
David
Lynch.
Lynch Foundation is primarily like all
Yeah.
about it. They got like Seinfeld, Ellen, like all these successful people
Exactly.
preaching it.
But no, I think that's exactly why it's more of a scam. Like there's, in my opinion, there's really only like a handful of kinds of meditation that works. By all means, if transcendentalism works for you, that's awesome. But the way that it works is like you repeat a mantra in your head,
Yeah.
and you just keep doing it until you feel nothing. And like, I don't want to be a drone. Like that's just that. I don't want to be the kind of person who's like constantly repeating something until I feel good about it. And it's the money walls that makes me feel weird about it. So like Vipassana and like the type of meditation that Thich Nhat Hanh teaches is like it's very like accessible. It's really easy to find. It's very much like if you have an issue, you look at it, you watch yourself. Like meditation is a part of that practice, but a huge part of it is just being aware of your surroundings. So I have a tough time with transcendentalism, man, but I've heard a lot of people be like, changed my life.
I will say that like I've done the mantra thing.
Yeah.
I've repeated it, and repeating a word that is completely foreign to me, and like just it somehow worked in a weird way.
Dude, I think it's powerful
because
as well.
if I just like say this nothingness and I keep saying nothingness, I don't
Totally.
think about anything except trying to like pronounce in my head this weird nothingness word, and
Yeah.
that makes me forget about stuff.
Yeah, well, you're creating a resonance within your body without trying to like send a specific message. You're not using your brain as much, I feel like.
And I don't even know if the word, I don't even know if the phrase that I'm repeating is the actual phrase anymore. It's just like a weird noise, like shoobity-doo-bop. And I'm like, yeah, shoobity-doo-bop. You know, it's just weird.
Totally.
But it somehow makes you forget about stuff. But anyways, I still don't know if I'm doing it right.
No, I think no, dude. I think I think that's like what the beauty of it is. And
Yeah.
what is the guy who? Oh shoot, what's the guy's name who came over? He was the one who like he got the Beatles all excited about transcendentalism. He was the one who like founded the whole thing. That guy who came over. So that movie that Mike Myers did, The Guru,
The Love Guru?
The Love Guru. It's based off of him.
Yeah, the book I have
okay.
has the photo of the guy. It looks just like that. Like, who is this
okay.
guy?
Yeah, totally. Because he was really up on like just being like a total like love freak, like being really
Is it like some Rajneesh stuff? Like
yeah,
it kinda,
Rajneesh.
Yeah.
That's
was
his
it
name.
that guy?
Rajneesh
That's
is his
the
name.
guy?
That's the guy, dude.
The same guy?
The same
oh
guy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we should. Oh man, this is a whole. We could go down for
Dude,
hours. Yeah.
We actually gotta wrap this
Oh
up.
shoot!
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Do you have to go or something?
Yeah, and just the equipment's being pushed at this point. I just don't want it to. I don't want it to crash. That's
what do you
all.
mean it's getting pushed?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We talked about this one too
computer
long.
Yeah, no, but this is usually. I'll go into it after, but yeah, we gotta. You have to come back.
Oh yeah.
If you're down.
Yeah.
Will you come back?
Yeah, of course.
Please come.
Let's go deep into the
we need another hour or two. We need another hour. We need to go
when
on
you
for
guys
a long
free?
time.
Let's do it.
We'll figure it out after
Okay.
this.
Okay.
Dude, yeah.
When are we? When are you?
We could just do, dude. We
Let's
could just
schedule something right now.
I'm
dude.
gonna have
just
a
do a
list.
part
I'm gonna have a
two.
list of
Yeah,
all the
let's do a part
fruits.
two.
like soon,
I'm gonna
like
have all the
really
fruits,
soon.
all
I'm
the
really
sugars.
actually open. Okay. All right. Yeah. No. We're gonna work this out right now.
Okay. Cool.
And we're just going to continue the conversation because we were really enjoying it. So I brought in that transcendental meditation book that we were talking about yesterday.
So funny. Yeah.
And it looks old as shit.
Yeah,
It looks
look at it.
Terrible design, actually. There's just like a gradient from like yellow to
Yeah.
reddish orange.
I do love it though. It's got like
You love it?
No, it's good. This is like the kind of thing like if you see someone walking with it, you know exactly what it is. You know, it's like that's the transcendental.
Right, yeah.
Wait, do you
like,
think that's a transition to like red? Like the transition to the Rajneesh? So it's like white to red?
Dude, it definitely.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
There
it
is a
is.
bit
It is
of a,
red
like,
at
yeah.
the bottom, very bottom.
Absolutely, dude.
I think.
This is pretty dark, but I can't hate it because it. I mean, it sure does speak correctly, but it sounds a little bit like a pyramid scheme, kind of. Like, get more pleasure from life. Reach your unconscious. Relax tensions. Find the key: self-confidence, fruitful thinking, and better sex. I love the better sex part. That's just so funny that it goes from like reach your unconscious, fuck better. Like that's amazing. Learn how to use your full potential. But I mean, don't you think like that sounds? I don't know. Like it just sounds like it sounds like a lot of buzzwords.
It
me.
is, and
Yeah.
it seems like a really cheap sale to throw in the sex thing. You know, like people
Totally.
when you use like sex for advertising.
Yeah.
that's exactly what they're doing here. They're using sex to sell this mental happiness thing. And I'm starting to realize, like, I almost became a Rajneesh on accident.
No,
This is
dude.
blowing my-
I don't want to talk. That's the thing. Is like I don't want to talk shit about like you. I mean, going through this, like this is an important book. I mean, this guy brought so much like interesting philosophy to like Western culture. I mean, he like inspired the Beatles to like really start making like
Yes,
all,
he did. He was their
yeah.
spiritual coordinator.
so crazy. Yeah,
Blows my mind.
yeah.
That
So
was insane.
it's I think it's a good thing. Like honestly, I should dive into this too. I've just been like I've read like the Wikipedia page and like listened to like other people talk about it. So like I feel like I'm prepared to talk shit, but that's about it. Like I don't know any other details.
Yeah.
So, but it's cool. I mean, it's just funny. The meditation that I've done in the past is so Thich Nhat Hanh is like this Vietnamese guy who like got really into he spread the idea of mindfulness back in the 70s, like right around when we were in Vietnam War, and his view on being a healthy person and achieving all this same stuff I think he's just more real about it. You know, like this has like a lot of promises. It's kind of like I almost like when I hear like some of the Scientology propaganda. Have you guys seen those videos?
That's funny. I was just comparing what you were saying about it to Scientology to my girlfriend last night.
Oh no way.
Yeah.
Dude, that's yeah.
Wait, what are those videos like?
Oh my god, dude. Oh. Man, I wish we were like in the Joe Rogan thing where you could be like,
Jamie, pull that shit up. Pull that shit up, Jamie.
It's disturbing, man. I mean, it's a lot of the buzzwords, but they do it with like the production value is super high because they have like an absurd amount of money, and it's just these random looking people who are like sitting in front of a green screen, and then behind them they have like the like big symbol. The big Scientology symbol like spinning, and it's like gold and like it really epic, and there's like this intense music that's like newscaster style music, and they're like saying like, I've never reached this kind of level before, the power that I have, the mental power, I'm on level 3, I can't imagine what it's like to be on level 12. Like people saying, oh, my thoughts are beyond powerful these days, I have the fullest potential, like not really saying anything, you know, just people saying like, I'm rich, I have great sex, and like my life is better, but they don't actually talk about like how they got to that point, or like the work that you have to do to get there.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know. But this is coming from someone who I think like there are things that I would like to change about myself, but there's like meditation and like I think the reason why we got on this conversation was because you were asking me how do I like be healthy?
Yeah, or just like mental happiness. Like when you find yourself in a tough place, how do you get out of it and that kind of stuff?
Totally. I think acceptance is like pretty powerful. Like
of yourself?
Of just saying like there are things that I would like to change, but I recognize that takes an absurd amount of time. Like we're hardwired to be who we are. And I mean, I think reading a book absolutely is like can change your life for sure, but I think it's a practice, you know, like really great book that I actually think is very similar to this in the sense that it's like a Bible that you can kind of just keep reading and keep practicing is Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. It's like a really old book, same sort of thing. Like it's like a turquoise blue cover. It's got that same thing where you see somebody holding it and you're like, I know exactly which book that is. But it's the same kind of thing but there's no promises. The way he says it is like it's accepting yourself and accepting that like you're one with the universe takes time. It takes thought and it takes a journey, and it's going to be painful. And like I really like that. I think that's almost more hopeful than being like, sex is going to be amazing when you finish this book.
Oh God,
you know?
yeah. Well, it sounds like obviously I don't know that book you're talking about, but it sounds like accepting where you are now, not worrying. I think that's like a big thing that people suffer from is they worry too much about things that like you have no control over it. If you can't control it, don't worry about it. Don't let it ruin and take over your life. Right?
Absolutely, man. I struggle with that so much. The worrying thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a dumb one. It's pointless too. I mean, like if you logic yourself out of it, you're like, there's not really any point in worrying. It doesn't really get a whole lot done, because if you need to get something done, then you can just do it, you know, but worrying about it is, I don't know. You can't control the future. I don't know, but we all worry. It's part of like built into our survivalistic primal habits. And I totally get that.
Yeah, it's crazy because you can like logic yourself out of it to some extent, but the feeling is still there at least a little bit most of the time. Kind of blows. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about your process with music creation, because you started to say that it was backwards, and then I feel like we skipped over it and didn't delve into it because you were like, what do you do? And then I just went off on a tangent.
No, I love it. No, you started with Cubase. I'm sorry. I want to like...
No, it's okay. I can go back over it.
And Ableton.
Cubase, and then Cubase and Reason.
Reason, yeah.
And then I just kind of 100% migrated to Ableton altogether.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, just to like kind of explain like why my process the way that it is. When I started making music with production and stuff, I did it with. So I got a MacBook when I was 18. And it came with Logic. And the only reason I got Logic on it is because I saw Rat-a-Tat. You guys know that? Those artists?
Yeah.
So I saw like an interview, and they were just like, yeah, we use Logic, you know, and no other explanation of like how they make their music. It's just like,
of course,
we use Logic. And that's it. And I was like, okay, cool. I guess I'm going to use Logic too. And I think with like all of us, you know, I was 18 at the time, like, let's see, YouTube had been out for a long time, you know, maybe like 5 or 6 years at that point. And so all these tutorials were up there, and it's so funny because I could ask my parents about this, but there was this like 6-month period right after I turned 18 and I got that MacBook where I just like didn't really talk to the world. I like read manuals and just like soaked up like all of this knowledge and like all the energy that I had that was like put towards like playing Halo and like GTA 4 all got put into making music around that time. But I didn't see it as that way. You know, it was like me just kind of messing around with ideas, and I didn't even know what genre I wanted to make. I knew I liked, like I had listened to like Boards of Canada, like Rat-a-Tat, Gold Panda, like Animal Collective, those artists around that time. And I just wanted to like make noises. And so like I just kind of started messing around with things and like just throwing them in there. And then for a long time, I didn't actually use the grid. Like I didn't know that you could like get things on like a click for a little while. And that was pretty funny. And then like when I started to kind of realize that like I could actually make these beats that had like a structure and like, you know, actually had like that was digestible, then something really beautiful started to happen. But the way that I make music is very much, maybe not backwards. It's just like really destructive. It's a lot of it is like, so I use Logic and Ableton kind of interchangeably. And I do a lot of like what you were talking about, which is like bouncing things back and forth.
Yeah.
So I love like taking audio, because it's super easy with like software these days to just stay in the box and just like, you know, mess with knobs like all day long. But when you bounce something, it becomes a solid piece, and you can like manipulating that in itself, it becomes like a brand new instrument completely by itself, which is amazing. And so my process always starts with me like experimenting with something that is not musical in any capacity. So like going out with like field recordings and stuff, and just like I don't know, like the other day, like I dropped a can of coconut water on my bike, like as I was like coming into my studio, and it made the coolest sound, and I ended up using that, and it ended up becoming like the lead sound for like these tines and stuff.
No way.
And like that's the kind of stuff where I just sit there and like manipulate that, and then because that sound comes from like a specific moment in my life, it's like the song has more meaning. And so and one thing I did recently that was like probably one of the coolest concepts, and I'm going to do it forever for the rest of my life, I think. I reached out to like all my fans. I've just posted like on my social media just saying, hey, if you guys have any interesting like voice memos on your phone that are like from sweet moments in your life or just like weird things that have happened, send them to me, and I'm going to use them in a song. And oh my God, I got like a mountain of data from like all these different people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. So that's like a lot of my process is just like sifting through like hours of audio that I've collected over the years, and just kind of like letting that dictate, you know, how I end up creating a song. And then within that, like, you know, I'll let things marinate for a couple weeks, especially with like a new song, and then go back through and then kind of actually have a structure that starts to make sense and has like a verse and a chorus and like a little bit more intentional. But yeah, I've always wanted to be the kind of person who's like man, I've had this song in my head and like I need to get it down. Like all those you know, all those people, all those amazing musicians that have the ability to like write a song in their head and then like, you know, be able to put it down or whatever. Like my mind is a mess. There's absolutely no way that I could ever be clear enough to write a song like that. Like the way that I make music is like a manic state. It's like I'm not even there. Like half the time I don't even remember what I did. And by the time I'm done, like my projects are just a total mess, just like filled with like 100 tracks or so. My computer can barely run, and I'm like having to like bounce things down and like consolidate it all or whatever. So that's, in that sense, I think that's why it's backwards, because I don't really feel like I'm much of a songwriter. I'm more of like I'm like an archaeologist of like my own iPhone.
I think that's a good way to describe it. And I think a lot of artists or creatives, they will discover something on accident.
Yeah.
Like one time I had this photo shoot where there was like a bunch of lights going off, but at one point the key light, like the main light, it didn't charge fast enough. So when I clicked the shutter, it didn't go off. Whoa. And then I looked at it and like all the other lights did go off. And I thought, okay, screw everything we were just going to do. This looks way better. Like, let's just remove that light. Like this looks way doper. And we carried on the full rest of the shoot like that.
Totally.
I mean, I feel like music has to be similar. Like you just kind of start compiling things and one thing will be like, oh, what the hell is that? And then you just got to keep running with it, and then it's a whole different experience, and it's probably better than what you thought.
Totally, man. Happy accidents.
Yeah,
for
so I was gonna
sure.
say.
Just Bob
Yeah.
Ross in it, man.
Bob Ross in it
Just
all day.
The kind of half-assedness was a lot of my experience here, but I'm kind of thinking about, 10 years ago when I
Yeah.
was really at my peak of how into music I was and how much it was taking over my life, because it was
Yeah.
mostly my teenage years and my early 20s that was all music for me, and I kind of got burnt out on it because I honestly kind of got burnt out on the city and a lot of that stuff. But the thing is that so many artists have moved here with the intention of just being artists full time, or being
Yeah.
like, hey, I just want to be in a legit but like kind of quiet place
Yeah.
where I'll feel like I can just focus on my art all the time. And there's definitely been some really great people who've moved here, and
Yeah.
the city's changing. I feel like,
Okay, well, I mean, look at some of the guests that we've had on this podcast. Like,
Exactly.
as you know, we've had a
Yeah.
lot of like
Yeah.
street artists.
Yeah.
There's like 90% of the street artists out there are never going to see a dime for the stuff they do.
Yeah.
But they keep keep going out,
Yeah.
they keep doing it.
And a lot of them aren't from here. That's the other thing. Like they're passionate. A lot of they're very passionate, but they came from somewhere else, and they brought their passion
It's-
here. And
I don't know what the ratio is. Like, there's a lot that have been here. Like, RX has been here for a while. I don't know how long.
I think he's been here for like 10 years at
He's
least.
been
or
doing
something.
street art for
Dang.
like over a decade, and
Wow.
he just is now starting to make money from it.
Yeah.
But
How do you make money from street art? You like murals and
people,
stuff, and people calling
yeah,
it?
some murals
Yeah.
he sells. Some of his
Oh,
just
yeah.
like
S-
sticker
stickers.
pads.
That makes
and-
sense.
Yeah.
He has like some merch. Woke Face, she does merch and murals, and
Yeah.
They
we'll
do
show
a
you
lot
some
of
their stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Dang.
we do so much digital stuff between video and digital art and obviously EDM and digital music that it's kind of refreshing to have the street artists come on and see how they're making all this cool art that's just something you can hold in your hand, and they're
Yeah.
making money that way and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, there's a lot of value to something that you can touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's like Dr. Scott, who's just a doctor, and
Yeah, he's a doctor. He doesn't need to make any money.
Such a
with this.
crazy
Yeah.
story.
But
Yeah.
there was a photo of him like doing a mural, and he was talking with like Dave Navarro. It's like, who the who is this
It was
guy?
on Dave Navarro's Instagram. He
Yeah, on
posted
Dave
it.
Navarro's Instagram.
Yeah.
We're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but it's just it's cool. I feel like if you follow your passion, unexpected things happen, and that's
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah.
That's the message, man.
think
Totally.
so.
What was it? The Steve Harvey quote? The Steve.
You got to jump.
Gotta jump.
Yeah, you
You
got to
gotta
jump.
just jump.
Parachute
Yeah,
won't
that's
open
true.
right away. You
Well,
got to
do
jump.
you guys know anybody who has jumped and like it hasn't worked out, and like they?
Ooh.
Well, I do, but it seemed like they had no plan and they didn't spend enough time on it. Because I think when you jump, and like I said, it's like, it's the parachute not opening right away. That
Right.
includes failure.
Totally.
Like you're free, like as Alex put it yesterday / earlier on this podcast, you're free falling.
Yeah.
And I think free falling includes failure for sure. Because if you take your first stab at something and you fail and you give up, did you really jump?
Yeah. Totally.
I think a lot of people make the mistake of not giving it their all, and a lot of
Right.
people might be ashamed to admit that they didn't.
totally.
So they
Or even just
avoid
that I think a lot of people have trouble with just failing once
Yeah.
or even twice. And it's,
criticism. Yeah.
Yeah, the criticism, or just I honestly think it's largely self-criticism. I
Absolutely.
notice people being harder on themselves than anything else, especially if they've just started and they just failed once. I feel like they're usually their harshest critic. You're your own worst critic. I feel like we say that a lot
They're
on
not
this
used to
podcast.
it, yeah.
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 They're not used to that failure. I think that is really accurate. Cuz I think like the definition of jumping in is also like the definition of success. It's definitely subjective. It depends on the person and what going all in really means. But I do think like we were actually kind of talking about this last time that like you have to get used to the pain, and like I think when you start letting go of the potential of failure or like the potential of looking bad, that's when you start making the stuff that's like truest to yourself. It's like you need to like break through the shell that's like this like break through the shell and be completely vulnerable to the world, and that's the only way that you're ever gonna like find the reason why you actually are doing something. And that's something I think I struggle with every single day, and social media makes that really tough because like everything is on. I mean, it's just, and it's something I struggle with too. Is like I really don't want people to judge me. I don't want people to like I feel like I could be better in so many different ways, but I'm like very much the pain of like the last few years of releasing music and getting haters and like looking at YouTube comments and SoundCloud comments. It's like I kind of don't care anymore. Like I don't really care, and now I'm able to make something that I feel like is just dope. And like, and in that case, I've ended up making stuff that is the best stuff I've ever made, even from my critics or whatever. So,
do you let other people manage your social media, or do you do it yourself, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Does that ever take the pressure off?
Oh man, yes and no, because especially since social media is so close to us, because our phones are like an extension of our person at this point. So I feel like when I do post on the internet, it's very personal. It's very much like something I just thought of in that moment. Like I really want to like, you know, show people a thing that's happening. It's not so much like, hey guys, like go listen to my music on iTunes. Like here's my whatever. In that case, for sure, like absolutely I'll let somebody manage it. But for the majority of it, it's like, I have a really hard time letting somebody post for me, like really personal shit, you know, or just like trying to be funny or something, making a joke through my own social media. Like I want to be the one who does all that. Like I have kind of an idea in my head, and I'm very much like my own person. So it feels really weird when somebody has like my social media accounts and stuff. I should be better about letting that go, though. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think it would be healthier for me.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Definitely healthier. I think when people put down their phones, start deleting apps, it helps them out a lot. Like,
Yeah,
mentally.
absolutely. Have you guys ever thought about going off social media in general?
I can't, man.
Yeah, I don't know
none
if
of
we
us
have that
can.
option.
We don't have an option.
Yeah.
No.
When our livelihood kind of depends on it, we have to be around it.
Totally.
My personal social media is actually close to non-existent. Luckily,
Yeah.
it's interesting because
Mine's
like
dropped a lot too.
but I meet a lot of people, or I do these podcasts or whatever, and they're always like, "Oh, what's your Insta? I want to tag you," and that's like kind of the only time it comes up. So the last 20 pictures of me that have come out have been tagged, you know, or whatever.
That's so funny.
I don't like posting my own stuff, but I do have to manage the projects that I'm a part of and their social media, or be a part of it at least in some way.
Man, I can't wait for the day that like we become important enough that we can just like delete our own, like not delete, but we can like let other people just completely handle it and nobody will ever judge us or whatever. I don't know. What are you gonna say?
I just wanted to say that I don't have any social media.
Oh man.
The closest I have is like Discord and Steam, but that's more like
Yeah.
chat programs.
It's not your
versus,
traditional.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, not so much like here's
It's
what I'm
not
doing
Facebook.
today.
It's not
Yeah.
Snapchat, Instagram. I don't have
Totally.
any of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And it's great.
That's man, I'm honestly so jealous. Like I really want to be the kind of person who's like, I don't know, what is that? There's that guy who lived up in Alaska for like 30 years, and he built like a cabin up you guys should look him up later. But he was like a filmographer. He took like a bunch of film with him back into the backcountry, and he lived up in a national park in Alaska and took care of this giant lake basically completely by himself for 30 years, completely alone, and just like built all of his own stuff. And like he would write letters to people, and like this guy in like a boat plane would drop in and like take letters and like exchange a few things and like that kind of stuff. But the movie that he made about himself, because he's like a filmographer and he was really obsessed with like just creating a really good anthology for himself. It's really beautiful. You know, he becomes like meditative and just totally relaxed and like makes incredible woodwork in the backcountry and takes care of himself. And I have to admit, I definitely idolize that. I mean, isn't this like, I feel like I'm a quintessential millennial for saying that though. Like that's like such a like,
No, I feel you there.
I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I get it.
but I daydream about that sometimes, just because it would be really nice to like, it would be really nice to go and get a meal and not be like, man, should my followers know that I'm eating this right now?
Oh yeah, yeah. You know that totally makes sense to me. I'm happy to have like kind of depersonalized my social media experience. Every time I think about posting about myself, I just feel so weirdly arrogant or something.
Totally.
You know,
Especially with the
Dang.
food one.
Yeah.
I do not post food because I feel like that's the douchiest shit possible.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's almost like, remember how back in like the Renaissance times, if you were fatter, you were more like noble and stuff and like you were rich. I feel like that's what it is. It's like us showing off the food we eat. Like that's how they show off the food they ate. By being fat. Now you have social, take a picture of it. Look at the food I'm eating, bitch. That's what they're doing, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got aggressive there.
No, I agree with that though. And I think like you guys are touching on it is that I feel like everything in my life, I really want to be the kind of person who's like non-abrasive, who's like, who listens and like, it isn't like a total egoist about stuff, but social media requires you to be the kind of person who's like, you know, like, look what I'm doing. Like, aren't you jealous? Like taking a video at a show. Like I have no interest in seeing this concert through your crappy phone. Like,
especially when there's 5 out, like one after the other, it's like oh my god.
I mean, every once in a while, like there'll be like somebody will be at a Radiohead show. Yes, please take video of that because for God's sake, I need to know what they're playing.
I love Radiohead.
Like, yeah, of course, that makes sense. But I don't know, like it's just people being wasted and being like, I want to show other people that I'm having a great time.
All
and
shaky and
yeah,
stuff.
and oh man, because it's so funny. I hate it when I see other people at other people's shows doing it, but when people take video of my show, I'm like, yeah, that's tight. so I'm a total hypocrite, which is the irony of it all, I guess. But I do love it, like when people are having a moment and they like, you know, they're like, whoa, that kid looks crazy up there, and then they'll turn back to their friends, and it's like just a bunch of wasted friends like dancing to my music. I love that moment. That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the like, hey, we're having a good time, check us out. But I guess I don't blame them. I mean, like when you're having a great time, you want to let the world know. Yeah, the food thing is definitely one though. I know what you mean. Like, look at this amazing meal I'm about to have.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
So I got a topic I want to go into.
Let's go to it. Yeah.
So I was reading this article today, and it was actually about this restaurant in Portland. It was like a burger place. And it got rated through Thrillist magazine as like out of 100 burger places in America, this one was number 1.
No
and it
way.
was like Stonix or something. I can't remember the name of it, which is really bad. I should know the name of it.
Uh-huh.
But what happened is so many people started coming to this little restaurant on East Fremont that the people got so stressed out. The quality started going down. They couldn't clear the tables good enough. It was a lot of like, I'm sorry. Yelps are going down, and now it's shut down.
Yeah.
Because of the
publicity.
Because they got put on a number 1 list.
Yeah.
It's like they're making such a good product, and like all their people were happy. And when that person, they did like the guy who gave him that number 1 rating went back later on, like to see how he was doing, and kind of to apologize.
Yeah,
he's like, you know, I didn't feel bad. The people were coming to my restaurant telling me to my face that I'm a fat fuck and my service sucks and this place has gone to shit. He's like, I felt bad for the people that cared, like the people that actually cared about this place and would come here every weekend.
That's insane.
Do you think that happens with music? When you start making something for you and for the people you like, and then you see it grow to like a bigger scale, and then like you have management and there's more eyes, more ears, more everything.
Yeah.
Do you think it can change like that?
Totally.
I mean, that's a sad story.
It is a sad story.
It like broke my heart to read it.
Yeah.
I felt so bad.
Totally, dude. I mean, that is such a, I think this is like one of those philosophical conversations of like creation as humans in general, is because we, fame ruins so much, but I think it all depends on the kind of person. Okay, I think the majority of the time, this kind of stuff definitely ruins like any kind of creative work that people do, because the pressure on an artist is just so great, or just on anybody who makes it, anybody who crafts or whatever. The pressure is so great, I think, to continue making something perfect for everybody, that they continue having this like perfect review or whatever, that it definitely ends up crushing them or whatever. But man, because I think like that wouldn't have been the case. I think like that guy could have turned that into something really amazing if he had the right team, if he had like somebody with him who was like, okay, things are about to get really nuts, and like I want you to relax. Like I am like a business manager. I'm like a financial manager or something. I will take care of that stuff. We're gonna like expand your restaurant a little bit. Like we know the steps we need to take, but I think this guy was blindsided or like,
Totally.
it just is not, maybe that's not his expertise. Like, I don't know anything about him, but that's really tough. And I think with artists these days, there's a lot of people in the industry who are really ready to just like come up and be like, hey, we want to help. Like, we want to take a lot of pressure off of you. And like, so you can focus and do your thing. And then when you do start to blow up, then you can just keep focusing on the music, and like, we'll take care of the money. We'll take care of like the fans. We'll take care of whatever. And if you're not the kind of person to let like fame and like fortune and stuff go to your head, and you're just the kind of person who wants to make great art, then yeah, I think you're going to keep doing it forever. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of some people who've like really lost it. I mean, can you think of some artists like off the top of your head who've lost it due to fame? And
we were
money
just
and
talking
stuff?
about. I don't know if this is because they lost. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to bring that up. I said because I don't want to. I don't want to cast shade. But
Yeah.
I am going to bring up that Joe Rogan was talking about on his show how he has to watch out about mentioning all kinds of things that he likes so that doesn't happen.
Oh, like
Yeah.
what is it? Like the hug of death? Is that what
Yeah,
that's called?
something like that.
This
Yeah.
article was also talking about like a ceviche place in town where the
Oh,
guy
yeah.
came from like Peru, and he was like this master ceviche guy, but he just like left to come here just to have a nice little cute ceviche shop, and then it got put on a top list, and now they don't even serve ceviche. They just do like breakfast. And
Oh my god!
shit.
Just because he didn't want to deal with that.
Same
stuff.
owner, yeah. He's like, I don't
Yeah.
want to deal with that anymore. I just want to. I wanted to make ceviche for people who cared,
Totally.
and now it's people who don't care. It's tourists, like all these unappreciative people. Now you get breakfast.
Yeah.
Well, can
Which
you
is
imagine?
crazy.
Can you
Is-
imagine doing that having that happen to you overnight? Because you have no time to adjust to the fame.
No.
You're just like, I'm trying to just make what I like, and then all of a sudden you have this crazy pressure that you have no idea how to deal with or what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's just mind blowing.
It is mind blowing. I don't think it happens to artists as quickly as it does to food restaurants and stuff, though. 'Cause,
Probably
like,
not.
They have to accommodate to so many people, and like their face and like their values are like so much. They're so personal because all these people are coming through and like they're interacting with the chef who's like right there, or like their wait staff or whatever. Like musicians can kind of get away with being famous and just disappearing,
Yeah.
for extended periods of time,
Right.
which is really awesome.
Yeah,
and
they
people just
can-
can keep like listening to their old stuff, and it won't be that big of a deal.
And you have a period of time until you have to show up again. Like you can spend a month making your song and then putting it out or
Totally.
whatever. You don't have to like be like, it's not, people aren't going to show up and be like, where's my food? And you're
Yeah,
like, oh
totally,
crap,
totally.
I just learned that I'm famous just now, and
Yeah.
you're already here and expecting me to behave differently. Maybe
Yeah, absolutely.
But you
It's
know, I
kinda
feel like
crazy.
you've done okay. Let me back up.
Yeah.
In the way that this guy, he should have recognized that his staff wasn't ready, or his staff couldn't handle it, even though it was like a mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
He should have like expanded, not necessarily upgraded, but like been more ready for it. In a way, you kind of did that.
Yeah.
You had a manager, and then you knew you wanted to go to the next step, and now you have a different manager, and
Totally.
like you're doing the right thing. It had to have been a hard decision. No one's happy to
No.
switch that role,
Yeah.
but it's necessary.
Yeah, and it's been tough, but I think like for me,
It's better than tanking.
yeah, it's better than tanking for sure. Like I'm definitely never gonna stop making music. I mean, it's like breathing. I have to do it.
Yeah.
But I think it's different for this guy. He was probably doing this mom and pop shop for like so long,
Since the 40s.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. I can imagine it'd be so hard to change. I mean, I'm a kid. Like I've only started really doing well with this project in the last like couple of years. So it's really easy for me to pivot because like things are full of change in my life right now. And yeah, it is hard, and it will be hard forever. Like I'll always be kind of like a little bit uncomfortable. It's not my natural state to be like the public face of something. But
Not everyone's made for that.
no, for sure.
No.
Yeah, but I think like in the future, moving forward, like I'm an adaptable person, and so I think like I'll be okay. I mean I just can't imagine like being in my 60s and then someone comes to your door and they're like, hey, I saw you're like #1 on like
Oh my God.
Bon Appetit, and the guy's like, what the hell is Bon Appetit? Like, what are you like hipster kids doing here? Like I don't. Yeah, and then for me, I'm young. Like I know exactly what's going on and like where the state of the industry is or whatever, and like how things are going to change and what that might look like. The only thing I guess for me is like it would be the other way is like not to have any expectations, like not to expect fame in any capacity, and to just keep doing what I'm doing because I love it, not because like I'm waiting for like that moment when I get on Billboard and like everything starts to take off. But instead I just focus on the music and focus on like being in the studio and like spending time on the computer and like putting my head down and like forgetting the numbers and just focusing on the thing that I love. And like if something cool happens, then it's great. That was one thing I was going to say about that Steve Harvey quote and like the whole moving and the like diving in and taking the jump. The one thing I've learned that I think is really sad but also really accurate is that you can work really, really hard in any kind of like creative or artistic industry, and it's not like you put in a certain amount of hours and you get a certain amount of reward. Like you can do as much as you want and it could go absolutely nowhere just because of the timing, your talent, whatever, you know. And that's something I've really come to grips with in the last few years is just accepting like I could do this now for maybe a couple more years and like it won't go anywhere. And I'll just have like that period in my life where I was like a professional musician. I'll always be making music, but maybe I can't support myself anymore and I need to get into I don't know, goat farming or whatever you do with goats.
You become a ventriloquist.
A ventriloquist.
That's the backup plan. Just become a master ventriloquist.
What do you think that once you have like connections and people know that you can perform, you've always got like at least a leg up?
Definitely.
You know? Yeah, because you make this impact on the industry, you know, and people will remember that, you know, because I know people from 10 years ago who did something really well back then, and I still think of them as like, yeah, I would trust them again, at least. I don't know, unless you know, that
is really true.
Unless their actual personality changed for the worse or something, you know.
No, that is true. I guess that is one thing. Is like I'll always be in the music industry in some capacity, whether it's like running sound or like at least just being a part of production or working on other people's music for sure.
Yeah, because that happens all the time. I feel like where people are like they're the front men and then they just kind of fall back and like, you know what, I could just sit back and help other people with their stuff for the rest of my life. And they can just do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess there's just no guarantee that a project is going to do well.
Right.
You know? There's always the possibility that it's going to fall. And I think, but what's funny is like you have to be willing to know that might happen, but also like confident enough to just be like, I know this is going to be amazing. Like I know people are going to love this, and you have to like every time you work, you just have to be like, I know this is going to be good, and I know people are going to love it. And then if people don't love it, you can't be devastated. You just got to be like, all right, cool. That was it.
I mean, I feel like when I work with clients and we're aware that we're taking a risk, it's good to let them know. It's like, by the way, this is a little edgy.
Yeah.
Like we're going to go for it like full force, but
Totally.
But if it doesn't work, that happened. It's okay. You know, it's not the end of the world, but we have to be willing to experiment to see what does catch on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always important. You always try some weird shit every now and then. Just don't change your whole persona to that weird stuff. But you know, a couple tracks, try something new and see if it does catch on.
Totally. Yeah, baby steps for sure. Yeah. I don't know.
Someone's always got to be the one to pave the way. You know,
Yeah.
And there's no reason to hold yourself back from at least giving it a shot.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So one of the saddest parts about that story, I'll go back. The guy at the burger shop, he leaves the refrigerators and freezers going because apparently if you shut them off, it'll cause more damage. And he still has like that tiny sliver of hope that it'll come back.
Whoa, dude. That's so sad.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know. It's so sad.
Dang, man.
It's
this sounds like a Bob's, like the worst ending to that show, Bob's Burgers. You know? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Damn.
Dude, oh
Wow.
my God. Why?
Sorry, I didn't mean to go back to it.
No, it's cool.
I was reading it. I was like trying not to cry as I was reading. I'm like, oh my God, this is so effed up.
I wonder how old that guy is too. It's been around since the 40s, you said?
Yeah. Well, his parents like started
Oh,
when he was
man.
born, like in like the 50s. Yeah.
Dude.
When
I'm
did this
sorry.
happen?
This happened like the article was written about this year, 2018.
So it got shut down this year or last year? Or is
I
it
think they tried to like keep it up for a year, and then it got shut down this year. And he's been trying to get it open back up, and he just hasn't been able to for some reason.
Dang.
Yeah,
Man, what can we do to help? What do we...
Dude, right? There's got to be a GoFundMe or something to get this shit back
Yeah,
open.
I mean, is money the issue, or is he just like it's
Doesn't
like
sound like it.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Man, I
the
don't
fame
know.
was the issue. Maybe the more we do, the worse it'll get.
No, I think it was. I think it was the
God.
stress, and there might have been some stuff going on personally in his life, but
yeah,
that's tough.
dude.
If you lose your, I mean, it sounds like it kind of stole the passion. That whole event. Yeah. That's tough.
Sorry, that's a downer story.
Anyways,
You guys.
no,
So
no,
what? So
it's
what's what's going on in the music industry that excites you right now? That gets you going, gets you fired up, or like maybe like a piece of technology, or like
Yeah.
Or even just your own personal journey with it.
Yeah. Ooh, man, that's interesting. Man, okay. I have some kind of like maybe some like unorthodox answers to this.
That's fine.
Well, for one thing, I really love with electronic music. It's like the way that everybody performs electronic music these days is kind of starting to become like pretty normal. Like the drum pad with like a MIDI controller, and then like maybe a handful of like live instruments on there, and it's like in a semicircle, and like the dude, some skinny dude up on stage like runs around and like jumps around and like acts like a crazy person and talks to the mic every once in a while. Like the I do think like a lot of people are getting away from the like DJ turntables.
Yeah.
They're like getting up on the table and being like
Doing the Steve
Yeah.
Aoki.
yeah, Steve Aoki. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are starting to get away from that, which is really cool because that's something I've always been inspired by. And the technology is changing in that sense. Like it's so much cheaper to get like a good, like live feeling electronic set that looks like someone is performing every single sound completely by themselves up on stage, which is dope. But that aside, another huge aspect with like performing electronic music is the production and like lighting and all that stuff. And the technology that's going into lighting and like set design in general is becoming so much cheaper and so much better and so much stronger than it's ever been. The LEDs and like the so LED lighting, like the big like par cans and like spotlights and stuff that a lot of people tour with are just, they're so much cheaper and lighter than they've ever been, and they require almost like no power, which is dope. And then the massive LED screens that are like that everybody uses are super cheap these days. So like smaller artists can tour with like really great production. And for me, that's really exciting because when I'm working on music, there's a lot of like colors and shapes and like stories that kind of go along with like the music making process. I really see like, especially since like I'm obsessed with like fantasy and like sci-fi stuff, I always kind of have like a little bit of like a dialogue that I have going on in my head, like while I'm working on something, or like a setting that I have in my mind. And so making visuals, with my music is like a huge part of it these days, like making these like little videos that kind of go along with it to kind of just like capture the palette or whatever. And so that's what I'm really excited about, is like touring in the future. Like I'm at that point now where I can do headlining shows and actually make enough money to bring along like a bunch of fun production that makes the show just like pop and like makes everybody like turn their heads, like stop talking to their friends and just be like, whoa, like we're in this moment for sure.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, and that makes me really, really excited, is just like knowing that like all the people that are just like super high on Molly are gonna be like, whoa, dude, like that was the dopest show ever. Like that's what I'm really looking forward to, is like all that stuff. I think like that's a pretty I would say that's like kind of a motif through like the entire electronic scene right now, is everything is becoming just
Beyond
so much
that.
cheaper. Yeah.
Well, beyond, I feel like even with marketing, everything is experiential. Everyone's trying to create that experience. And if you have like an ad, like let's say like let's even say like a commercial ad or an inbound marketing ad, when you bring them to your site, you want them to continue feeling that ad. And when you talk to them on the phone, you want to like feel like you're talking with this experience.
Totally.
And then until you get the product, and it is the package design, everything is experience right now.
Yeah.
So I think it works. I mean, that's kind of how it should be.
Totally.
So it totally
I agree.
makes sense that music is that same way. I mean, let's talk about just music festivals in general, how there was that trend of the stages being as crazy as possible.
Yeah.
Ultra, EDC, Tomorrowland, all
Totally.
those were like, it was a competition of who had the craziest stage for the craziest experience.
Yeah.
mean,
Absolutely.
I
No,
get
dude,
it.
I think that's the case with like all production these days. There's smaller bands. I mean, I think like a lot of artists are getting away, and artists for sure, but audiences are also expecting way less of like a live performance these days in terms of like, when somebody's like, I'm going to go see an artist and I want to see two guys with a guitar, someone singing, someone playing drums, and someone playing bass or something,
Yeah.
right? And now it's more like I want to go and like experience something completely fresh that defies like my entire understanding of set design. And like, that's so exciting to me because it just opens up so many possibilities, and I don't feel like I need to go up on stage and like play 9 instruments and like hit every single note, but I can go up and like create this incredible visual experience, and everybody will be down with it. And like, it's less about like going to see people perform like a live show and more about going to experience an incredible journey with a bunch of your friends. And I really like that concept.
Yeah. Well, let's
yeah.
think about it this way. When you see a band, you're impressed when it sounds as much like the album did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let's take it even to another way. Like if you go up there and all you see is, a 4 or 5 piece band, you know what you're going to expect.
Yeah.
If you go there and you see like some weird electronic instruments and a bunch of screens, they're like, oh, this is going to be more.
Yeah.
This is going to be an
Absolutely.
augmented version of what I'm used to.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of attraction to that.
Yeah, totally. And I think it goes both ways. I mean, I'm super down to see a band.
I love bands too.
Yeah,
don't get
I
me
know.
wrong,
I
man.
can't turn
Don't
that.
get me
There
wrong.
is a reason
that's
why
debatable. Everything
yeah.
I just said, but
Totally.
I mean, it has that side to it.
I mean, it's all a spectrum. Like everybody has different opinions about that stuff. But I saw Tool last year.
Oh, really?
Damn.
That was like,
Throwback.
They only had one good song.
He's talking about
dang,
Schism.
dude, you guys are gonna. Oh man, if you put that on the internet, it's downhill for this podcast.
Well, we can
You're
put
gonna
whatever.
be-
I don't think they. I would. We
yeah.
can put whatever we want on the internet. It's the
fair enough.
internet.
Fair enough.
We get the hate will get us more likes.
That's true.
What was the other band? Was it like Fish or someone? Who,
Yeah,
like,
Fish is another good one. The Grateful Dead. If like bands that if you talk shit about, like people will lose their minds. Radiohead's one of them for sure.
I love Radiohead.
I know,
yeah.
me too. You can't hate it.
But in Rainbows.
I actually don't like Radiohead.
Go-
my God,
I don't. I would
dude.
honestly the only band I'd really listen to out of all those is Tool. I listen to Radiohead second, I think, but
Really? You'd listen
Yeah.
to Tool before Radiohead?
yeah, I listen to Tool before Radiohead.
Dang, interesting. Yeah.
What were you?
Like, which one was it? Hail to the Thief?
Wait, are we talking about albums?
Yeah.
Oh,
for
like,
Radiohead?
for Radiohead, like my favorite albums, or are you talking about?
No, I'm just saying, like, that album I thought was good.
Yeah, Hail to the
But
Thief is
Never
amazing.
really cared about
Okay,
Radiohead
computer.
or thought that they were
Yeah,
that great.
is that the only album that you listened to, and that's why you liked it?
No.
Okay.
It was the first one I listened to, I'm pretty sure.
Nick and
Okay.
I used to sit around and listen to like whatever was popular, what everyone wouldn't stop talking about, like all the time.
Wow.
And everyone would be like, we'd be like, oh, we don't like this band, and they'd be like, oh, it's because you haven't heard it.
Right,
And then they give
right.
me like 3 albums. Like Modest Mouse is a great example. They give us
Oh,
like
that's
3
a good album,
albums,
yeah.
and I'd sit there and listen to all 3 albums, and I'd be like, if anything, my opinion is lower.
Wow.
Like all the time, and like I don't know. People get so upset about your musical opinion. Who cares? It doesn't affect you at all if I don't like the band.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't. It's like, and I just think that that's always been interesting to me, and I think that was maybe why we ended up making music together later after a while.
No,
'cause
I
it was
love
like-
that actually, dude. You guys are good music listeners. That's awesome. Because
Well,
I think
that was... Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I think most people don't listen to something when they're like, oh yeah, you should listen to that. And people are like, when you say you should listen to this album, that basically says to people like, I'm never gonna listen to that album.
These days, I definitely think that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, because back then, like, when I was super heavy, well, I still listen to music all the time, but when I was more into, like, trying to discover bands
Yeah.
and whatnot, I had a one-time listen policy before I made any comments about a
Wait,
band or, like, wrote them off.
to every one of their.
To one of their albums, yeah.
Oh, just one
Okay.
album. Okay.
well, I
That's
mean,
just-
even,
An
like...
album's a good amount of time spent.
that is.
Yeah, if I listen to, like, the one album and I know I won't like any of their other material...
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm pretty good at
I
that
see.
point.
So you're not gonna
but-
like listen to 3 songs halfway through and
No,
then have
I'll
an
listen
opinion.
to, like, the full album.
Wow, man,
Like,
you
I
are a
remember
noble
when
motherfucker.
Hawthorne Heights was popular. Do you
Yeah.
know that band?
No, what is it?
Hawthorne Heights?
Hawthorne Heights, man, I haven't heard that name in a while.
Terrible. But their first album,
Yeah.
It took me like 3 tries to get through.
I
When
didn't
I
like
made
it.
it through,
Dang, dude.
I did not like it.
Wait, didn't they do that like Ohio song?
Yeah, the Ohio is for lovers.
I didn't like him really either. Okay, I didn't like it because they had like a commercial on MTV and it would play like every time, and I hated the song so much because the commercial was played so much. I was like, I could never listen to this band.
Oh man, dude. There's 2 ways that can go. You're either gonna love that song for the rest of your life, or you're gonna hate it for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
hate it.
dude. Okay, that's good. That's good, man. I wish I was like that. I'm definitely not that way. Like the moment, I guess I have no tolerance for things that make me feel cringy. You know, like if there's like a band or whatever that makes like they do something really, really bad, I just have to turn it off like right away. And so
That's part of the enjoyment.
I know, and I think you're a better person that way. I mean, like, God, I've been to so many live shows, so many house shows and stuff where like, you know, the music's pretty good and like, you know, that stuff, and then like something changes and I can tell they're trying to be edgy, and I want to be the kind of person who's like, you know, I think they're doing some really cool stuff and I think they're trying a lot. But like the cringe inside of me is just like, you got to leave, dude. You got to get out of here. You got to get out of here before you feel really embarrassed for these people. I think I feel secondhand embarrassment way too easily. That's my problem. Like I can't watch The Office.
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, totally, man. Oh my God.
But they're getting paid so much money to be embarrassing.
I know, but I just can't. What Steve Carell's character?
Cringes all the way,
Yeah, dude,
man.
it's too much. But I mean, I do love it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
bro,
he did want to like shake that.
That persona.
Yeah,
he
once-
did,
once-
he
yeah.
did a damn good job.
He
You
quit
see
the
him
show before
now-
it was over because of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
because he wanted to get away from being typecast in
Yeah.
that whole thing.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
He didn't want to get
was
Harry
too
Potter.
good at it.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Harry Potter. What's his name? Zach? No,
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel
Radcliffe.
Radcliffe. Were you about to say Zach Braff?
no, I almost said Zach Galifianakis because of the weird last name. I almost went that.
That's actually way funnier. I would love to see a Zach Galifianakis
As Harry
Zach,
Potter.
Well, Zach Galifianakis had the same problem with The Hangover.
Oh,
you
that's
know?
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
where he's like, he played like the goofy random character.
But
Yeah.
his
Like,
stand-ups are the exact same thing. It's
that
like
is
They're
true.
pretty similar. Yeah,
they
it's
are
kind
similar.
of yeah.
The like him playing piano and like just saying one-liners thing.
like he's
I've
not
only
going to
seen it
become an
drunk.
action star. That's not going to happen.
No, yeah. I mean, I
not
don't
what
think
he
he's. I don't
wants,
think
though.
that's
He's the next
exactly.
James Bond.
I don't
He's
think- I
called
doubt that's what he
Swatch.
wants. He seems like he's found a good niche and he's just between two ferns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty. He's got a pretty solid
Still,
gig. it
I
I
seems
can't
like.
believe that's another one I can't watch. Way too cringy for me.
Between Two Ferns,
Yeah.
Between Two Ferns. I respect it a lot though. I mean, the amount of like so it's like it's very Tim and Eric-ish, right?
Yeah.
Like it's got that vibe. And it's become mainstream. Like enough that he's had like famous politicians on there and the whole
Yeah.
like you have to hate me when you're on this thing. It's like that's so dope that he got like Hillary on there and she hated him through the whole thing. And she crushed it. Like she actually did really good in that episode.
It's a good test.
Yeah, it was a good
Yeah.
test to see like her acting capability. But yeah, dude, it's so funny. Zach Galifianakis is
Testing
Harry
the
Potter.
acting,
Yeah.
Why have we done an animation about that?
About what?
About Zach Galifianakis as Harry
Dude, I would
Potter.
love it if he wore like the exact same outfit as Daniel Radcliffe in the same like the same size and everything too. So it's like his hairy belly was like poking out through like all these scenes. Oh my god.
He doesn't even try to do the accent.
Yeah, he
just
delivers all the lines the way he just delivers lines.
Totally.
Oh, man,
trying to
that'd be
get out of
great.
like his little room underneath the stairs. Like they
Oh my
could
God.
completely redo the
He
first
can't
movie, but he's like the same age that he is right now. He can't fit through the little hat. And Hagrid walks up and he's like the same size as Hagrid. That would be amazing.
Hagrid's the same
Yo,
size.
You're a wizard. Yeah, you already kind of look like a wizard.
Just
now.
call him Larry instead. We'll call him
Larry,
Larry.
yeah,
You're
it's
a wizard,
good.
Larry.
You're a wizard, Larry. You're a hairy wizard.
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just
Yeah.
crush it.
Sorry.
You can crush that. No, we're
Thank
good.
you. Yeah. Okay. Next topic. What are we on to?
We are. Well,
Are we wrapping it up?
we get close to it. We're over an
Yeah.
hour again. Believe it or
Oh my
not.
God,
damn,
Yeah.
dude. Time
I
really
know.
fly with you guys.
So we've over doubled our longest one yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think
No,
it's a
don't
good
be sorry.
sign.
This is great.
I like you coming
Yeah.
by.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally, dude. Well,
Yeah.
the moment we sat down, I was like, I could get drinks with these guys. Well, I guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Like what are you doing next? Is
What's-
there any? Do you have a tour?
what's coming up?
Shows?
Next big
What's
thing?
coming up? Like in your spectrum of work?
Yeah. You know, like to be completely honest, I've really tried to keep my books super open. And so like right now, I have a record that's done, a full length record that's like, it's been a long time since I've made a full length, and it's like all the way through. So normally like when I finish music, it's like I finish like maybe like 5 songs that I think are amazing. And then like the rest of the record, I'm like, about, like I'm kind of like meh. I don't know if it's really that good, but like the time constraints make it so that I just need to get it out. But this, I've left my books open enough that like I've been able to finish this whole record, and I think all the way through it's perfect. And I think it's like the best thing I've ever made. So, which is a huge deal for me. It's something I've been wanting to accomplish since I started making music when I was like 18.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, at the moment, like I'm gonna do like a couple more DJ sets in Portland because I have like a little residency at Holocene, which is super fun.
How often do you play there?
I think it's gonna be, I don't know if we're gonna do another one in 2018, but we're definitely gonna do one in early 2019, and then like another one in spring, before I do like another like full like live show here. And they're super fun. I don't know if I don't think I talked about it last time, but
You didn't.
the whole idea was supposed to be like creating a prom night that doesn't suck, just like a prom night where everybody's like having a good time and they're wasted
that's
and
cool.
stuff. So we got like a bunch of tinsel, and like it was super dark and just like a lot of like good old disco music and stuff and
Yeah.
hanging out. So that's super fun. So I'll probably do a few more of those things. Then the record's going to come out, and then I think after that, I'm just going to try to hop on as many tours as I possibly can. Playing live is like the most important part of making music for me. And so, also, I mean, I'm from the Northwest, and so I thought like at this point I would have saturated my market with like live shows and stuff, but that's not the case. So I think I'm going to be playing a lot of live stuff in the Northwest, and especially in Portland in like 2019. So
Dude,
yeah, definitely.
We'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah,
man,
it's
for
gonna be a good
sure.
time. Yeah, you guys are definitely welcome.
Yeah.
and
Hell yeah.
yeah,
I
it'll
wanna
be super,
go.
super
we
fun.
definitely need to come see you sometime for sure.
Okay, sweet.
Hell yeah.
Want to experience it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting experience. We'll see. Man, it's so funny. I haven't played a live show in so long. And so it's been sitting in my studio, like marinating in my head for so long now. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be.
Just that Kobe beef.
Yeah.
just sitting
Oh,
there.
it's so.
And then when it comes out, you're gonna throw it on that fiery grill. It's gonna just flame.
I hope so.
Crackle,
Yeah.
flip it over. It's be great, man.
That's a great metaphor. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. Awesome, dudes. Well,
dope.
thank you guys for having me on this thing. This is a
course,
really
dude.
good time. I hope.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I rambled so much.
No,
but-
that was great.
No, this is great. I feel like we made a friend. That's
Yeah.
anything. So
yeah, absolutely.
we really appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, of
and
course. Thank
you'll
you
have
guys.
to, when your record drops, you got to come back.
Yeah, I think that
Oh,
would
that's
be really
perfect.
fun.
Yeah, let's do that.
It'd be
Let's do
cool
it.
if I could come back and just like have little snippets of each song and just talk about like
Oh,
the
shit.
garbage that I've put on there. Yeah, just like why this sucks. Ooh, that'd be cool. We should do a bit that's like the worst parts of each one of my songs.
Dude,
And that's all we play. We
Yeah,
don't show
so-
anyone else any other part of it.
No, I want to hear the coconut water song that fell on your bike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It ended up being like a. Oh yeah, it's actually really cool. Dude. Okay, can I tell you guys kind of an
Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
story
yeah.
that happened
Yeah.
recently? I just finished up this track that's like, in my opinion, like one of my favorites that I've made in a long time. So me and my label and management and stuff were all like, we should release this like right away as a single. Let's like put it out. It's really good. So we sent it to mastering. We were like getting it all done and stuff. And the owner of my label hit me back and he was like, hey man, this melody is like really, there's a melody that I created using that sound, the coconut water. Like it sounds like a marimba, but like really tinny, and it's hard to
Yeah.
explain. But and he was like, this melody sounds really similar to something I've heard before. And I was like, yeah, man, I think it's just really relatable. And so he was like, no, dude, this is the same melody to New Year by U2. Do you guys know that song? It's from the
No.
80s. I didn't know it either. I'd never heard it before. But it was enough. It's in the same key. It's the same BPM.
Oh, no.
And it shares the same first 5 notes. Almost exactly. And like, I argued for it for a long time because I've only listened to like 2 U2 songs, which is like
Right.
one of them being like the one on the radio when I was a kid, which is like,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Like that fucking song. And so that's like my only experience with U2. And
He was like, their attorneys are better than our attorneys. We can't
Totally.
do it. Yeah.
yeah. And so the label is
U2,
like
yeah.
label, publishing, my management. They were like, dude, if you put this out, there is the possibility. There's a tiny possibility that like they could get you, and none of us would ever be able to work ever again. So like,
Dude, oh my gosh.
So it was, I'm so mad because like my ego is like, I didn't copy them.
Right. Deep down, you know.
Yeah, deep down I know, and I can always say that. But now I have to change it, which is fine. But it's just funny that like me dropping coconut water on my fucking bicycle led to me creating the exact melody of U2.
Almost got you a lawsuit
totally.
somehow. It's like, God damn you, coconut water.
Yeah, totally. I want to like send the audio file to Bono and be like, does this sound like one of your songs?
Right.
Can you get that down on paper really quick? Does this coconut water like hitting something sound
Dude,
like
it's
one
worth
of
a
your
shot.
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, that'd be funny to see what he
knows?
says. Even if you're like have full intentions of changing it, be like, hey, by the way, Bono.
Yeah, Bono. Oh man, that would be funny. Actually, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll hit him up. That would be kind of a funny PR experience
would
to
be
get
funny.
an email back from Bono personally.
Okay, because Bono, like,
Is he a cool dude? I don't know anything about him. Other than he wears
well, he's my buddy.
sunglasses
He's my
inside.
buddy, and I talk to him every day. So
No comment.
you got nothing to lose by trying, man. You might as well try.
No, you're right. You're right. Totally.
Oh, good
Anyway,
shit.
yeah, so that's kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you,
Dude,
man.
yeah,
we really
totally.
appreciate
Coming on.
it.
Of course.
We're glad you came by twice.
Yeah, 2 in a row.
Thanks
And,
again, Cascade Street
yeah,
Distillery,
yeah,
for the
thank you.
top bourbon that we
Distillery.
killed it. It's gone.
But yeah.
As you can see,
We put down the whole fit throughout the course of the show. So
Yeah.
is that true? We did.
Yeah, we did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, it's a
Like
beautiful
Joe
label.
came in and snuck a shot in, and that was
Oh,
it.
damn
Yeah,
it, Joe. Yeah,
otherwise,
Joe snuck a
yeah,
shot.
we did.
Yeah,
Good job,
good.
guys.
It's
That being
amazing.
said, thanks again to everyone, all listeners. We appreciate you all. Black Bulb out.
Peace.